Well, live from McNeese Baseball Park at Rush Chandler Stadium in downtown Atlanta, Georgia, on the campus of Georgia Tech University. It's win or go home time for the second time today for Bethune-Cookman University Baseball as they try to get back and get on the Tigers of Jackson State after falling 11-6 yesterday afternoon. Earlier this morning, it was easy as you like for Bethune-Cookman as they cruised past Texas Southern 16-0. But doubleheaders are always tough, especially coming in against the team that's fresh. My name is Michael Torello. Happy to have your company. Bryce Onosby joins me in the booth. Bryce, it's Joel Corey on the mound for the first time in this tournament, and he's going to have to do what no team has yet done here in Atlanta, shut down this Jackson State offense.
Yeah, we jokingly talked about it in the press box in our final series of the year back at Jackie Robinson Ballpark. If I'm Coach Hernandez, I'm going to tell Joel Corey, hey, pretend this is USF. Pretend this is one of these brutal midweek competitions you've been thrown in and day out. The USF is obviously the one that really sticks out. He went 5 no-hit innings before he ran into a little bit of trouble, as you'd probably expect from a freshman. He's got some fiery stuff. He throws hard. He's been really solid. He's had some down outings, and he's really struggled, particularly when he's been put in there in limited action on the weekend. But, man, what a blessing it is for these Wildcats to come in essentially on even footing from where we left yesterday. After today's game, yeah, maybe you have some tired legs from running a lot of bases this morning, but you used 2 guys out of the pen.
And one of them was someone you used before.
Absolutely. A guy in Yoancel Diaz that you probably wouldn't want in a close game necessarily anyway. Comes in, does his job, closes it out, and now you're right back to where you left off for Jackson State. I don't want to go home today, Mike.
I don't either, and I know the boys in maroon and gold don't as well. It's the off-white cream uniforms for Bethune-Cookman. Maroon hats, maroon numbers with gold trim. It's Jackson State in the navy hats, navy jerseys with Jackson inscripted across the front in white trimmed in gray. Numbers white trimmed in gray and gray pants. Even though they're coming from the lower bracket, because they are the higher seed, the Wildcats are the home team. So Joel Corey is on the mound and standing in Rodney Hibbler Jr. 2 hits and 2 runs scored for Hibbler in the first matchup between these teams yesterday afternoon. The first pitch from Corey is fouled away, and we are underway for the second game of this doubleheader. Now, the Wildcats do have a little bit of an advantage, right? They've played already today. They're warmed up. They're ready to go. They've already had a big win, a run rule victory over Texas Southern. There's a breaking ball strike 0-2. And maybe that momentum is enough, and Jackson State's been sitting on their hands for 24 hours now. As there's a swing and a miss, strike 3, down goes Hibbler.
The fast start is really been the difference in what kind of Wildcats team we've seen to start this year.
And you
come out hot. If they've come out hot, they've succeeded. If they haven't, they've fallen into a bit of a rut. I think we'll know, Mike, what's going to happen, the outcome of this game within the first 3 or so innings.
Yeah, you told me that before we went live today. There's a soft chopper down the first base line. It will go barely foul out of the reach of Manny Sufrain. Batter is Jordan McLady. 361 his average for the junior right fielder. He was all over the Wildcats in their first meeting. Base hit, walk, 2 sack bunts for McLady. As he's behind the count on 1, Corey misses low 1-1. On the season, McLady, 65 runs on 75 hits. 12 doubles, 6 triples, 4 homers, and 42 RBIs. The count is now 2 balls and a strike. Righty Corey to lefty McLady. Up and out. 3-1 now. If you're Joel Corey coming in on the season, 38 strikeouts, 29 walks, you cannot give up free passes here. 3-1. That one's down the middle and fouled away, and the count is full.
Joel Corey, maybe one of the rare guys on this Wildcat staff that has the pure stuff to get back into counts, but with Jackson State, as we saw yesterday, you've got to get ahead. You have to go in down 0-1, down 0-2. You can't have multiple balls on the board for any of these Tiger bats.
3-2, up and in ball 4, and McLady is aboard. First base runner for Jackson State. That'll bring up Glenny Montesano.
Number 21.
The junior batting .327. 39 runs on 65 hits, 16 doubles, that's a team high, with 3 triples, 10 homers, also a team high for Montesano, and 53 RBI. Corey's only given up 2 homers this season. One to Jacksonville in their first meeting, the game the Wildcats won 4-3. A game where Corey was also impressive. 4 full innings, 2 runs on 4 hits. Finally, the first pitch. No, they're going to throw back over to first again, twice now. As the wind has picked up here, blowing from left to right across the field here at McNeese Baseball Park. Haven't had to deal with much wind at all this week.
Dark
Finally,
clouds are coming.
Yeah, finally the first pitch to Montesano was a fastball that misses out and away, 1-0. Yeah, we had a rain delay a little bit in the last game, was stopped for 30 minutes because of lightning. And there's some dark clouds rolling in from left field. So we will see what happens with the weather. Another throwback to first. And the ball hit McClatty on the back as he was sliding in. I guess maybe a little bit lucky, because if the ball doesn't hit McClatty, it rolls away into right field.
And I think luckier even that McClatty got a little banged up by that. Probably just knocked the wind out of him a little bit. Definitely didn't feel good, but he was able to get up. Probably has enough speed to make it down to second base, but the Wildcats are fortunate that he stays put.
And for the Wildcats, and especially Joel Corey, I think you got to focus on batters more. Yes, the top of this order steals a ton. 33 for Hibbler, 36 for McClatty. But if you get the batters out, it doesn't matter. Count is 1-0 on Montesano. Corey deals. In the dirt, ball gets away, and they're going to give McClatty the base anyway on a wild pitch.
When it comes to Tigers on the base paths, you have to minimize extra bases whenever possible. That includes things like wild pitches. That includes things like throws over and errors and any little thing for Jackson State to take advantage of. They're very much like the Wildcats in that they're a very smart base running team, and they're so athletic top to bottom. Every single runner counts.
And now Corey behind to Montesano. And this is a big start for Joel Corey. Just a freshman. We know he's got it in him as he pounds one down the middle, swing and a miss. Strike one to Montesano. I think it's important to get him out of this first inning quickly, just to try and build that confidence as we go into this game, because we know once the hits start coming for Jackson State, they don't really stop. That one chopped foul, third base side, 2-2.
And the Wildcats do have an advantage with Corey on the mound, a lot like Jackson State did yesterday, in that there's no familiarity between the Tigers and Joel Corey. It is a new arm against two teams that are about as familiar with each other as anybody else in this league.
2-2. Runner takes off. Inside, they go to third. And safe, sliding in is McClatty. Looked like the throw beat him, but a great slide by Jordan around the tag from Favos was stolen base. And the count is 3-2 on Montesano.
Don't be shocked if it's this kind of game for each side. Certainly seen our fair share of slugfests. Looks like the officials are going to come in and talk about this one. May have seen a call for review from Coach Hernandez, not sure, but I think the Wildcats very well may go to small ball very early, especially if they're playing from behind, just to try to kind of force that issue a little bit.
The count will be 3-2 on Montesano after this umpire's review of a steal of third by Jordan McClatty, and we will go to the monitors. Well, that didn't take long, Wes. Didn't have a review in the entire game this morning, and now we've got one in the first inning with one out. This is a big one, though, because if it stands, then there is a runner on third with one down. If not, the bases are clear with 2 outs, and it looks like he's in there safely from the replay.
It does, but it's also hard because the initial camera angle did not show where the tag was applied. You couldn't see both the base and the tag being applied. Kind of been an issue of a lot of these calls in this tournament, a lot of too close to decide, at least in Bethune-Cookman games thus far. Interesting to see a call for review this early in the game, because who knows what could happen at this point.
I think Hernandez maybe just wants some time for Corey to settle down. Now, 100% he's safe on that second angle. Not the greatest tag from Fabo. The ball definitely beat McClatty to the base, but the tag was applied late. As we can see on the replay right there.
Certainly looks like the foot was in.
So McClatty will be on third with one out. The count is full to Lenny Montesano. And maybe the opposite is true, right? Maybe this is just giving Joel Corey time to think about what's going on, and maybe he thinks too much. We've seen the majority of this Wildcat staff is great when they get into a rhythm and there's nobody on base. They could just mow down guys. But once they start getting challenged, it's very easy for this Wildcat staff to fold. We've seen it a bunch this year.
And I'm not so sure. It's a little unfortunate for Bethune-Cookman that we don't reseed at this point in the bracket and that they're that home team again. And they don't get to start with the bats in their hands, especially against a guy in Garrett Van Deventer, who we'll see in a little bit, that they've just been very productive against.
Yep. Safe on the review as the umpires come back. Our umpiring crew for this one, behind the plate is Brandon Folks. At first base, Randall Montgomery. At second base, Patrick Graham. And at third, Kevin Bradley, who had the correct call on that one. The crew chief is the first base umpire, Randall Montgomery. So now it'll be 3-2 on Montesano with Miles White on deck, 1 out in the inning. Here in the top of the first, Corey deals. Swinging a ground ball towards third. Fabo dropped it. It bounces off of his glove into foul territory. Everybody's safe, and Jackson State has the lead.
It's the rare defensive miscue from Fabo, especially over the second half of the year when he's come on so strong out there. Kind of had the glove closed, went to stab at it, couldn't get the ball in the glove. I think looking too quick to try to get that throw, get the out at home, save a run, and it ended up costing him.
Waiting to see if that's officially ruled an error or a hit. That's a ground ball towards short. Cordova moves over on to second for 1. No play at first. So Miles White is aboard with a fielder's choice. Lenny Montesano is out 6-4. And now 2 down, 1 on for Joseph Eichelberger. It has officially been ruled an error on Jorge Gonzalez Fabo to allow Montesano to score McClatty. So once again, the Wildcats down in the first, just like they were yesterday. First pitch to Joseph Eichelberger is high, ball 1. Actually, they went down in the second, not the first. McClatty singled, but that was all in the first inning for Jackson State. The second inning is where they really opened it up. There's a swing and a miss, as Eichelberger couldn't catch up to the slider outside.
And if you go back to the fielder's choice play, I want to give credit to Jackson State, too. They run so hard on the base pass that Colton Olison had really no choice to even think about going for the double play because Montesano was so quickly right in front of him at second base.
Corey deals, sky high, right center field. This would be a long run for Figueroa, and he'll call off Rivera and make the catch to end the inning. 1 run, no hits, 1 error, and 1 left. And the Jackson State Tigers take the lead as we go to the bottom of the first here on the CatEye Network. To the bottom of the first we go here in the ATL. Wildcats down 1-0, but coming to the plate for the first time against the senior from Arkansas City, Kansas, Garrett Van Deventer. Van Deventer on the season, a 6.28 ERA. 5-5 is his record, 17 appearances with 14 starts and 2 complete games in 84 and 2/3 innings. He's given up 67 runs on 105 hits, 61 earned, striking out 57, walking 44 with an opponent batting average against of 316. Daniel Figueroa stands in. This is the Wildcats' third time seeing Van Deventer this season, as Garrett deals a fastball strike down the middle to Figueroa.
Wildcats have been able to get to him. Went 8 innings his first start, allowed 11 hits. 6 1/3 his second start, also 11 hits. Allowed some runs in each start, 5 and 7 earned runs respectively, although it was 6 and 8 runs, so hasn't always had his defense behind him. But the Wildcats can get to him. They can put bat on ball. They need to do it early.
1-1 is low to Figueroa, 2 balls and a strike. But he's another one of these pitchers that, if you put some pressure on him, could fold, especially in the walks department. 46 walks this season, as he deals the 2-1. Fouled right back into the BCU dugout, and it's 2-2. Van Deventer, the side-arming left-hander, against the righty Figueroa, who's had himself a pretty tough tournament, just batting .300, Figgy. 2-2. Ground ball foul, first base side. And even the walks haven't really been there for Daniel. Just 3 total bases on the tournament so far. The 2-2 from Van Deventer. Ground ball towards first, gathered up by the first baseman Lenny Montesano, and there's one away.
Well, that might be one of the harder hit balls we would have seen in yesterday's game with Jackson State. Just weren't able to barrel much up. Everything was weak ground outs, weak fly balls, everything hit right at defenders. So you hope that can be a little bit of a building block. The Wildcats can just see some balls a little bit better than they did yesterday.
Here's Garrett Shun. 1 out, nobody on. He swings and lines one foul, third base side, into the tarp holding area down that third base line. Wildcats not shy about swinging away early in counts in this tournament. It got them into a little bit of trouble yesterday. Here's the 0-1 as he swings and hits that one up the middle, and that's going to drop in for a base hit.
And again, something the Wildcats did not do all day yesterday. The first 2 hits for the Wildcats were home runs. It wasn't until the 5th or 6th inning that someone finally put a ball up the middle. That was Ramses Cordova with a single not that different from that one.
Now it's Sergio Rivera, who didn't really have a great morning. 1 hit, 3 hit by pitches for Sergio in that game and a run scored. Well, he didn't really have a chance.
Yep, took the bat right out of his hand.
First pitch to him is low, ball 1. Nice job by Sebastian Cabeza behind the plate to keep that one in front of him as it bounced in front of the plate and then off his left knee pad. Rivera on the year, a .288 hitter, with 1 on and 1 out. Checks his swing. That ball is low and outside, 2-0.
I think Rivera got hit once on the back, once on the foot, once on the shoulder.
No, it was on the waist.
That's right.
Yeah.
Probably a little sore coming back from this morning. Quick turnaround.
2 balls and no strikes. Van Deventer steps off and checks the runner at first. So this is win or go home for Bethune-Cookman, but for Jackson State, since they're coming from the upper bracket, they've got a buffer. Van Deventer kicks and deals. Fouled away, 2-1 to Rivera. If the Wildcats win, we'll do it one more time tomorrow afternoon for a shot in the championship game. If Jackson State wins, they are in the championship game and the Wildcats go home. Part of this seeded double elimination bracket. Now the 2-1. Fouled away, 2-2.
And I'll say this too. Even if the roles were reversed and Bethune-Cookman was coming in with that buffer, if you lose this game, I think you're in a tough spot if you're that higher seed winners bracket. It's one team has all the momentum. One team has seen you really well the day before. You're definitely in the more favorable spot of the 2 teams heading into tomorrow if you can force it.
Another throwback to first. Rivera started this count ahead 2-0 and then fouled 2 of them off. So now Van Deventer toes the slab, looking at a 2-2 count. 1 away in the inning. Chun on first via the base hit. The pitch. Flying foul into the seats on the first base side, and its count holds 2-2.
Already, again, Wildcats doing things through two batters, three batters that they did not do at all yesterday. Hitting balls harder, fouling balls off, working deep into counts.
Once again, the 2-2 as the defense in the outfield shifts a little bit. They'll go back to first again. And now Jackson State is doing what BCU did a lot and has done a lot through this tournament, which is just consistently try and pick the guy off of first, or at the very least, dissuade him from stealing.
And I would certainly be wary of the Wildcats trying to manufacture runs early.
2-2. Rivera watches it low, and the count is full.
It's a tough take, breaking ball on the outside edge. That whole outer half of the plate through the entirety of this tournament, and just about every game we've seen, has been pretty open.
Full count delivery. Runner goes in the air, center field. That's not going to go very far as Rodney Hibbler tracks it down and 2 away.
Still a fairly well-struck ball, and when we talk about productive at-bats, that is a fine example of a productive at-bat that does not necessarily end up in runners up or a base hit. And work the count. You got a good chunk of pitches for Garrett Van Deventer, inching ever closer to the bullpen with every at-bat you put together like that, and you force the defense to make a play.
Now it's Jose Gonzalez, who got in on the home run party against Jackson State yesterday with a 2-run shot. First pitch outside, ball 1. A pitch that Cabeza had to reach for in the opposite batter's box. Gonzalez on the season, the Wildcats' best bat, hitting .358. And the pitch. Swing on, grounded through the hole on the first base side into right field, and there's a base hit. For the Wildcats, who did all of their damage yesterday against Jackson State with 2 outs, look to continue that 2-out barrage, and here's Ramses Cordova.
Another well-struck piece of hitting. The difference in what could be a short versus a long outing for Garrett Van Deventer or any pitcher in this tournament is when you miss, you've got to miss close. And the first pitch from that AB, well outside, easy take, forced him to come further inside, and easy to take the other way.
Here is the hot swinging Ramses Cordova, and even 500 on the tournament for him with 4 home runs in 3 games, and he chops one foul right at home plate for strike 1. He has as many home runs in this tournament as he had in the regular season. More, in fact. He had 3 home runs in 57 games in the regular season and 4 in this tournament.
And he's also nearing the total for this season for some of the Wildcats' top home run hitters. Talking about Manny Sufrain, Jose Gonzalez.
0-1 outside on the changeup, 1-1.
Now's another spot we talked about. You don't really have the luxury of pitching around him because then you load the bases and who knows what could happen. So he's going to get some pitches to hit. I would be very wary of him looking for that long ball again.
Irvin Escobar in the on-deck circle, 2 on, 2 out. Wildcat down 1-0 here in the first. There's a breaking ball called strike that caught the outside corner. Cordova down 1-2. This is going to be a battle every inning, but the Wildcats are going to have to score with the Tigers. As a spin and a look back to second for Van Deventer. Everybody back safely.
A lot of these Wildcat home run balls have been off the high fastball. We've seen plenty of hanging breakers, hanging sliders, 12-6 curves, but most of the damage has been done when guys have tried to go with the high heat.
1-2, Cordova strikes out swinging on the high heat. Cordova's second strikeout of the tournament. Jackson State stays alive, staves off. 2 singles for the Wildcats, and we go to the second 1-0 Jackson State here on the CatEye Network. We go to the top of the second. Wildcats down 1-0 here as Jackson State comes to the plate. And Joel Corey will look to stabilize against maybe the player of the tournament so far and completely out of left field. Arjun Huerta, the senior from Williamstead, Curacao, is batting .857. 6 hits in 7 at-bats. Add that to 1 hit by pitch and 2 walks. He's getting on base 90% of the time through 3 games in this tournament. The first pitch is low, ball 1.
Well, and Jackson State has thrived off the guys who've set the table. Early base runners with no or 1 out.
There's a big swing and a miss from Huerta, 1-1.
So you want to make sure that give the very best effort you can to get some early outs.
That's low. Escobar tried to frame it, but it's 2 balls and a strike. The righty freshman Joel Corey, the biggest start of his young career, gets a strike call on the outside corner, and it's 2-2. Huerta really crowded the plate, his toes touching the chalk on the inside of that batter's box, and he strikes out swinging on the slider. Big get for Corey as Huerta strikes out for the first time in this tournament, and there's 1 away.
And again, if you can minimize those leadoff base runners, if a guy beats you, he beats you. If he puts a base hit somewhere where nobody can get to it, it is what it is. You as long as you're not grooving pitches, it's okay. When you can avoid walking guys, hitting guys to start off the AB, you're set up so much nicer.
Robert Tate Jr. looks at ball 1 low and away. Tate on the season, the freshman hitting .361, 40 runs on 53 hits. 6 doubles, 2 triples, 26 RBIs. That's a soft grounder towards third. Cordova charges and fires, and there's 2 down. And that's the kind of weak contact that we saw a ton from Daniel Gaviria in this morning's game.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday where we said, the Wildcats had that 4-3 lead in yesterday's game, but through 3 innings, you said, well, I'd rather have those hard hit, consistent base hits that Jackson State's had than a couple of walks and long balls. Well, super early, but the way the Wildcats handled themselves offensively in the first is a little bit better than Jackson State's fared thus far.
Yeah, 2 singles up the middle, right? And
hard hit balls in between.
You got to start stringing those together. Sebastian Cabeza stands in now, and he hits a single to left field. He may even try and stretch that to a double. He's going to hard charge around first and then go back as Garrett Chun fires in.
That's back to the more hold your breath every time Jackson State's at the plate, hard contact, ripping in the gap. Base hits that we saw a ton yesterday, and we know this team is capable.
Here's someone we didn't see yesterday, Letty Alvarez, the third baseman. The freshman Shamar Harris started in that position on Thursday. 1 on, 2 out. Chun deals. Correction, Corey deals. Slider misses away to the right-hand hitter. Alvarez on the season batting .253, just 79 at-bats, 21 runs on 20 hits. 4 doubles, 1 homer, 8 RBIs for Alvarez. He played third in all 3 games when the Tigers, came to Jackie Robinson. He'll try to lay down a bunt with 2 outs, and the pitch is outside, 2 balls and no strikes.
Jackson State certainly athletic enough to run out a few of those.
So now Fabo's got to be on his toes over there at third, as the 2-0 is swung on and hacked foul down the third base side, and it's 2-1. We've seen some very hard hit foul balls in this tournament.
That's one attack and one up in the zone. An aggressive swing.
Corey looking to get out of this inning. The 2-1 swing and a miss. Fastball down and away.
And that was a really great job by Corey after he saw Alvarez go after the high fastball, immediately hitting him back with something on the outer half of the plate, kind of having to throw the bat out in front of the off speed and just couldn't catch up with him.
The 2-2 went low and away again, trying to get a swing. Alvarez not getting after it that time, and the count goes full. And now this is the situation you don't want if you're the Wildcats. 3-2, you have to attack the zone against a really good hitting team. 3-2. Swing and a miss. He did attack and got the strikeout. Corey struts off the mound, and nothing for the Tigers on 1 hit in the second. We go to the bottom of the inning. Wildcats trying to even it up. It's 1-0 JSU here on the CatEye Network. We head to the bottom of the second. Wildcats trail 1-0 here in this elimination contest against the Jackson State Tigers. A Wildcat win would force a replay, a winner-take-all for Jackson State tomorrow afternoon, with the winner going to the finals. And this is a situation the Wildcats were in last year. They were able to take down Grambling State twice in a row, but they've never had to face a team in this format 3 times in 2 days, which they might, or 3 days in 3 days, which they might have to if they get to tomorrow. The batter to start the inning is Irvin Escobar. He watches one downstairs for ball 1. Van Deventer quickly back into his motion, and it's hit on the ground. A diving stop at short by Tate. He'll throw across the diamond in time. That's a beauty. An absolute robbery at shortstop by Robert Tate Jr., and there's 1 out in the inning.
And Coach Hernandez told us over the last couple of days, Irvin Escobar, knees haven't been feeling great lately. I think if that's anybody else, you have a real shot to beat that out. Irvin Escobar does. Tip his cap to Robert Tate Jr. over there at shortstop. No doubt an excellent play.
Here's Manny Sufrain. He's had a bit of a rough tournament. 2 runs on 3 hits. First pitch from Van Deventer. Strike outside corner. And into the 0-1. Big cut and miss. And it's 0-2. This is what the Wildcats can't start doing. Just start trying to hack and get it all back in one swing. Van Deventer's 0-2. Upstairs, 1-2. And there's almost nobody better on this Wildcat roster of taking pitches than Manny Sufrain.
He's worked his way back in a lot of 0-2 counts.
Now it's 1-2. And upstairs, 2-2.
Manny Sufrain's also been hurt a little bit this week with how wide that strike zone has been on the outer half of the plate, because guys don't work in on his hands, because he can turn on it, especially in this ballpark, and put it over that short porch out and right.
2-2. Soft grounder up the middle off the glove of Van Deventer. He'll recover and fire. It's close, but Sufrain is out, and there's 2 away.
Sufrain's had a couple of balls like that in this tournament where he's trying to pull it. The ball leaks a little bit in on his hands, and he's just had to fight it off to be able to chop it into the field of play. Not quite fast enough to beat those out.
Now here's Jorge Gonzalez-Febo, who's had an unexpectedly good tournament. Didn't get a hit in the first game of the day, as that first one is outside. Correction, no, he did have a double late in the game, but his first 4 appearances were hitless. Swinging that bright orange bat, he looks at a 1-ball, no-strike delivery from Van Deventer and takes another one outside. He's also one of the guys that's had a home run in this tournament, had one day 1 against Prairie View. 2-0. Fouled away, 2-1.
One of the things that haunted Fabo early was hitting a couple of home runs in his first couple of plate appearances at the D1 level, and uppercut swings from there. So you hope he's matured enough as a hitter to just take what's given to him.
And he grounds one foul outside of third. Good piece of contact, just couldn't steer it in the right direction. And 100%, a pitcher's duel favors Jackson State. They've already taken the lead. They can protect it. If the Wildcats don't offer any significant threat, they could walk out of here 1-0, although I feel that's unlikely. Upstairs, 3-2 now, the count on Fabo.
I think it's really a battle of whatever starter loses control first. When it starts to wane, when your misses become wider and it's easier to take, that's the team that's going to walk out of this one.
Fabo watches strike 3, and that's the end of the inning. 1, 2, 3, go the Cats, and we go to the third. Wildcats still looking up at Jackson State. They trail 1-0 here on the CatEye Network. We go to the top of the third. Jackson State with a 1-0 lead there at bat. And back to the top of the order, Rodney Hibbler Jr. struck out to open the game back in the first. Of course, anybody on this Jackson State team can get hot at the plate at any moment. That's just kind of how the team's built. First pitch from Joel Corey. Swing and a miss at the off speed, and it's 0-1.
So much more movement on Joe Corey's off speed than what you see from Marcos Gamboa, which is why you see so many more swings and misses.
That's the exact same pitch. Exact same pitch, exact same result, and so too. Hibbler just can't catch up to that pitch. It just dies. It's almost a sinker-esque. It just dies right at the end. 0-2. Goes way outside, tries to get a swing. No takers from Hibbler. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
I mean, I'm sure it's very much in the cards for Joel Sanchez, the pitching coach, and how you beat this Jackson State team. They're going to swing. Go at them.
That one is low. Did he swing? No, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. But when you get ahead in the count 0-2, like we've seen so much, you can't just waste pitches. That time he got Hibbler to swing and miss. 3 straight sinkers, 3 straight cuts and misses as the ball hilariously goes into right field on the whip around. But there's 1 away in the inning.
And, you know, you talk about getting ahead and having to allow Jackson State to claw back. Part of that is a credit to the Tigers for being so consistently locked in at-bats and being able to work their way back. And you worry so much about the leadoff base runner that you're just trying to be conservative and do whatever you can to avoid it.
Here's McClatty, walked his first time up, looks at a ball upstairs. Wildcats and Tigers have now tied their series at 3 each in their 6 matchups. Only played 5 in the regular season because rain washed out the last one up in Jackson. The count is 2 balls and no strikes on McClatty after a miss outside. Now a swing and a miss. It's that sinker again. He just keeps going to it, and the Tigers are fooled every time.
The more it leaks inside on either side of the plate, guys are trying to hack at it, golf swing at it.
That one's fastball inside corner. Corey doesn't get the call. 3 balls and a strike. And now, Corey in danger of walking McClatty again, which he does. Upstairs, ball 4. McClatty's, I mean, yes, he's batting .361 on the year, but I don't think there's a reason to nibble like that, especially when you got that swing and miss in the middle of that bat with the sinker.
You can't afford to do it with anybody on this Jackson State team because they're going to find a way to move runners up and take advantage. Look out for the steal again here.
McClatty scored his first time up, wild pitch, stolen base, and then came in on an error. They spin it a throwback to first, and you might see this a ton, especially when Hibbler and McClatty are on base. 33 steals for Hibbler, 36 for McClatty. Next highest on Jackson State's team is 15. It's really just the top 2 guys to get the green light. Fastball up and away on Lenny Montesano, who reached on a Jorge Gonzalez-Fabo error. I think Fabo on that in the first inning was just trying to do a little too much. Let the ball bounce off of his glove. Now the 1-0. Swing and a miss, and there's the sinker again.
I think that's part of where you come with the lack of familiarity with Joel Corey. It's a pitch they haven't seen. They haven't seen a caliber of pitch like that from many of these Wildcat arms.
Another throw back to first. McClatty in there safely. Montesano, the home run leader and slugging percentage leader on this Jackson State team, minus Arjun Huerta, who hasn't played many games. 1-1. Runner goes in the dirt, skips away from the catcher. I'll give him a stolen base because he was going already. But with McClatty on base, Corey has just not looked as comfortable as he had with the bases empty or really anybody else on base.
That's been the Achilles heel for a lot of Wildcat arms, and it's why Jackson State had so much success yesterday and even during the regular season. When you're able to put guys on, the approach is a little different. Some guys slow down, others speed up.
McClatty dancing over at second. That ball's hammered foul by Montesano. Couldn't catch up to the fastball. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Just 1 out in the inning. And again, every inning, every at-bat, every pitch, Jackson State just applies pressure. And it's something the Wildcats don't really see from a lot of these other SWAC schools. 2-2. They throw back to second. McClatty back in there, especially the West schools we've played this week.
The West has been batting practice for a lot of teams out here. Even the game previous to ours, Grambling State came back late heroics to beat Alabama State. Still an 11-10 finish. No issue for the Hornet Bats.
Ground ball to short into the glove of Cordova across the diamond. There's 2 away as McClatty advances to third on the throw.
Well, we'll see what Joel Correa is made of now, sitting in a similar position as he did back in the first.
Miles White, the lefty, stands in, reached on a fielder's choice his first time up, as Lenny Montesano was caught out on the base paths. And you want to avoid, yes, bringing in a run, but also getting to Joseph Eichelberger. Chopped high, pop chopper towards second. A great pick by Colton Olison with the glove outstretched, and he makes the play to end the inning. No runs, no hits, 1 left for Jackson State. Wildcats looking to get on the board as we head to the bottom of the third. 1-0 Tigers here on the CatEye Network. Bottom 3, this game going maybe as quick as any game we've had here in the SWAC tournament, as there's been no run barrage early in the game. The 2 SWAC West schools, the Wildcats jumped on them early, and then they got jumped on early by Jackson State yesterday. That hasn't happened. It's still 1-0 Jackson State. Colton Olison leads off from the 9 spot here against Garrett Vandeventer. Lefty to righty, here's the first pitch. And it's in there for strike 1.
For these Wildcats, the longer you can keep it close, the tighter Jackson State's going to be, and they haven't been put in that position yet in this tournament.
Ground ball towards short. Fielding it on a hop is Tate. He'll make the play, 1 down. And the Wildcats have just bounced a couple soft ones on the infield, not getting that hard contact that they had in the first inning.
Yeah, and after a great start of working some longer at bats, fouling some pitchers off, staying alive, putting some hits on the board, they've kind of settled back into being that overly aggressive team that they were yesterday. You have to take a time as we flip the lineup back over to the top to reset and relax.
Daniel Figueroa grounded out to first. His first time up, he takes a fastball outside, ball 1. And it's so apparent how much better the Wildcats are when Figueroa can get on base consistently. 1-0, low 2-0. When he struggled, and really the top of the order altogether struggled against Jackson State yesterday, you saw the Wildcats just die off as an offense. 2-0. Squaring to bunt is Figueroa, and he pops it straight back foul into the seats. And it's 2-1. That's the other thing the Wildcats haven't really done this week is bunt at all. And when they have, they haven't been good. They've been pop-ups, they've been fouls, they haven't really got them down. Here's the 2-ball, 1 strike pitch. Figueroa hammers it foul into the party deck off the window of the Champions Club out there down the third baseline. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Good contact from Figueroa in both of his first 2 at-bats, just haven't been able to straighten it out into fair territory. 2-2. And he fouls another one away.
Can only hang your hat on hard contact for so long. It can get frustrating for anybody in the lineup. So you'd like to see Figueroa barrel one up and get his guys going behind him.
And he does, but foul again down the first base side. And the Wildcats this season have had a tendency to let pitchers get into a groove and just start working through innings And suddenly you look up, it's the seventh inning, and you're down by 2, and you went, well, where did this game go? Here's the 2-2. And he got rung up. Fastball inside corner. Third strikeout already for Van Deventer.
And it's the same kind of at bat we saw from Gonzalez Fabo in the last inning, where you managed to foul off some good pitches. You worked the longer at bat, not a complete loss, but you can't then go and take a pitch down the middle like that, or maybe not right down the middle, but one that's in the zone. You're going to have to continue to play defensively.
Here's Garrett Chun, who has one of the Wildcats' 2 hits. Hit one right back up the middle in the first inning. Was stranded on second. First pitch was outside. Van Deventer into his windup. And it's in there for a strike. First 2 pitches, both sliders. And that slider is so tough when you're lefty to lefty like Chun is right now, because it just tails away from you. You can't really get good contact on it. There's the fastball. Misses away outside. 2-1. Chun took advantage of a missed spot back in the first, just hammered it right back up the middle. Garrett deals. And a strike on the inside corner. Chun doesn't agree. He kind of sags a little bit on his heels. Steps out of the box, shrugs his shoulders, and gets back in.
Chun is probably one of the Wildcats' best defensive hitters. Knows how to foul balls off. Hit defensively. No more takes.
The 2-2. And he does swing defensively and foul one off over the Champions Club out the left field line. He'll get another one on the 2-2.
Just don't have time to be picky at this point. If the ball's well out of the zone, you can keep the bat on your shoulder all day. If it's close, you've got to swing.
And he doesn't take it that one. It's up and in by his face, and it's 3 balls and 2 strikes. But Montesano's been clean. Only 2 hits, 3 strikeouts, no walks, no hit by pitches. Sorry, Van Deventer, not Montesano. 3-2. Chun watches ball 4 upstairs, and he is on. Well, I kind of jinxed it there. First walk of the game given up by Van Deventer, 1 on, 2 out. And here we go again, 1 on, 2 out. That's where the Wildcats were all day yesterday, and just couldn't get anything going outside those 2 home runs.
Again, it's a far cry from some of the 1, 2, 3 innings we've seen the Wildcats settle into. Another long at bat. Van Deventer already at 50 pitches through not even 3 innings, so we're in better shape than we were.
Plus, he threw 55 2 days ago against Texas Southern. First pitch upstairs to Sergio Rivera, ball 1.
I do think we'll see Jackson State head coach Omar Johnson be very, very, very aggressive. Maybe not as aggressive we saw Jose Vasquez for Alabama State, bringing in guys who'd pitched multiple days in a row already, but he's going to be aggressive.
1-0, fouled straight back by Rivera, 1-1. Sergio's been looking for that barrel up contact all week, and he just hasn't had it. I kind of feel for him because he's been so close on a lot of these. Looks at a 1-1. 1 on with 2 down. And a throw back to first. Chun's not even leading off. He's a half a foot off the bag, and they're still throwing over there.
He was thrown over at the last time he was on base the exact same way. I think it's just kind of the lefty is able to easily make the throw over there, so just keeping him honest.
Now he kicks and deals the 1-1. Strike called. That looked like it was a little bit up and away, but tailed in at the last second. 1 ball, 2 strikes now with 2 down. Rivera swinging that blue and silver bat as time is called by the home plate umpire, Brandon Folks. Now, Rivera stands back in, and here's the 1-2. Rivera golfs one to left field. That's going to stay in the yard, and Huerta will grab it for out number 3. No runs, no hits, 1 left for the Wildcats. And we go to the 4th. It's still 1-0 Jackson State here on the CatEye Network. Joseph Eichelberger will lead it off for Jackson State here in the top of the fourth. Tigers still lead 1-0 in this elimination game at McNeese Baseball Park on the campus of Georgia Tech. Joel Corey still on the mound, and his first pitch is a fastball inside, swing and a miss from Eichelberger. Pitch number 49 for Corey, and you really would want Joel to go maybe 70, 80 plus in this ball game as another swing and miss, that time on the sinker.
That ball's eating Jackson State up. They've got nothing to do with it.
And yet he goes away from it, I think, too much. And that's where he's starting to nibble at the corners. That time, a big old cut and barely got the end of the bat on it, did Eichelberger, to stay alive in the count.
It's just got so much velocity on it. I think the only way it can really truly come back to hurt you badly is if you leave it up in the zone and it leaks down straight over the heart of the plate.
0-2 again. Eichelberger watches it upstairs, 1-2, and this is where Corey has started to get into trouble. You get ahead 0-2 and then start nibbling at the corners. 1-2. And that one spiked to the plate and caught the catcher Escobar up under the padding.
And it's not just nibbling at the corners for Corey when he's up in the count. It's also he's going to the outside half of the plate when it's inside that have induced these golf club swings from Jackson State where they're nowhere near the ball.
So now from an 0-2 count, Eichelberger's watched two easy balls in, and it's 2-2. Corey winds and fires. There's it is. He went back to the sinker and got the swing and miss. And there's one away.
Not saying he should or could throw it every single time and be successful. You got to be able to mix in a little bit of different pitches. But if you're going to start guys off, finish guys off with it, that's a pretty solid recipe for success, I think, early against Jackson State.
Here's Arjun Huerta. First pitch, a fastball, outer half of the plate, ball 1. Huerta struck out his first time up, and he grounds one towards first. Manny Sufrain knocks it down. He'll take it himself to the first base bag for out number 2.
Been able to get Huerta out early. Not a whole lot of teams, Wildcats included, have been able to say that in this tournament. Hit that one really hard, but right at Manny Sufrain.
Well, he had one in the game yesterday that was right at Manny Sufrain, but then there was a mix-up between Sufrain and Gamboa on the mound, and he was able to be safe because he legged it out. Here's 2 outs, Robert Tate Jr. at the plate. At a first pitch, a fastball strike down the middle. And it's 0-1. Tate grounded out to short his first time up. That one in the dirt. There haven't been many low-scoring games at this year's SWAC tournament. The only one I can really think of is the game between Prairie View A&M and Texas Southern, the lower bracket round 1 game in this side of the playoffs, as there's a swing and a miss at a fastball inside at 1-2. We've seen a lot of 11-8, 11-6, 16-17 runs being scored. Off the end of the bat, softly hit towards third. Charging is Fabo. He throws across. In time, got him by half a step. And Gonzalez Fabo now makes up for that error earlier in the game. 1, 2, 3 go the Tigers. We go to the 4th. Wildcats looking for some offense, down 1-0 here on the CatEye Network. Jose Gonzalez leads off for the Wildcats here in the bottom of the fourth. Still look up at a 1-0 deficit against the Jackson State Tigers. Garrett Vandeventer getting set to throw pitch number 54 of his outing. Gonzalez has one of the 2 Wildcat hits so far, singled through the right-hand side back in the first, ended up stranded on first after a Cordova strikeout. Vandeventer the 1-0. Swinging a line drive base hit to left field. He's hit one to right, now one to left. And Jose Gonzalez stays hot. 3rd hit of the game for Bethune-Cookman. And there's a runner on with nobody out.
Gonzalez only 5 steals on 8 attempts on the year, so not your typical runner. But do you think we may start to see the Wildcats try to manufacture something with Ramses Cordova at the plate? Probably not quite yet.
Cordova struck out his first time up. Had a home run. Oh, he's going to square the bunt. The infield comes in. He puts it down. Right back to the pitcher. Vandeventer will throw across to first, and the runner is moved over. You'd think with the hottest guy on your roster, you wouldn't have him bunt, but the Wildcats team-oriented, everything for the team, just trying to get that run across, and now it's Irvin Escobar, who grounded out to short his first time up, but should have had a single. It was a tremendous diving play by Tate to take it away from him. Runner on second, 1 out. That runner is Jose Gonzalez after his leadoff single. First pitch from Vandeventer is a strike outside corner. That's a wide outside corner right there from umpire Brendan. Folks, we haven't seen that early in this game. It's been mostly consistent. Now the 0-1. Check swing. Did he go? Yes. And it's 0-2. Irvin, after coming in and dominating this tournament last year, has had a really tough go of it, just batting .286, 2 hits, 1 strikeout in 7 at-bats, and he watches one low and away for ball 1.
Coach Hernandez was pretty frank with us after the loss last night that I think he was fully expecting to go to that manufacturing run, small ball early in the morning game today. Just didn't have to do it.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Vandeventer kicks and deals. Off the end of the bat, foul. Out of play, first base side.
Irvin Escobar is one of the best in the country at staying alive and avoiding the strikeout. Longer and longer you can continue to stay in there. Vandeventer's going to have to give you something to pitch to hit, and he has those little breaking balls that break over the middle of the plate.
Once again, the 1-2 after the foul ball, and that one's grounded through the hole to the right side. That'll be a base hit. Gonzalez stays put at third, but Escobar comes through, and there's runners on the corners with 1 down. The batter will be Manny Sufrain. You mentioned hard to strike out. Irvin Escobar has only struck out 7 times in 107 at-bats this season.
And I'd have to do some big-time research to figure it out, but I think those 7 came really early in the season. Because I remember looking up early on and like, well, he's way ahead of his normal pace. What's wrong with Irvin Escobar? And he's settled right down, and he is one of the toughest in the nation to get to go down swing.
Here's Manny Sufrain, grounded out weakly to the pitcher his first time up, and he's got a runner on third. Bases, runners on the corners, with 1 out. First pitch, he'll square to bunt. He'll put it down. It's a squeeze play. They go home, and safe is Jose Gonzalez, and the Wildcats have tied the game. But I would not be surprised if they try and challenge this.
Yeah, he's definitely going to go for it. No doubt about that. I would, no matter what. Not like we have a big jumbotron showing every play back-to-back like you would at the pro level. Let's take a quick look at the SWAC replay.
It almost looked like he was out in real time. But it depends on when the tag is and where the tag is. And it almost, from the main angle we have right now from behind home plate, you can't really tell. If there's a reverse angle, maybe from center field, it might look better. This is an interesting call, though, from Coach Hernandez to go for the suicide squeeze. The ball definitely always out, unfortunately.
I think he beat his foot in there.
Yeah.
Yep. A nice job applying the tag to that lead foot. Didn't waste any time to go for the chest or anywhere else. Took the lead part of the body.
I don't like this call from Coach Hernandez, and maybe if we win, we'll get him on the post-game show and I can talk to him about it. But you've got one of your slower guys on the team on third. You've got a guy that consistently can put the ball in the outfield at the plate. You try to squeeze it? I don't understand this call. There's only one out too.
It's a little bit of desperation, I think, just really trying to get the guys fired up, trying to put a run on the board, trying to even it out because you hope your team will play a little bit better when they're not looking up at Jackson State as they have this entire tournament. It's a bit of a longer review than I thought we'd get. I figured they'd be out of the tunnel by now. So maybe you steal one, but
I mean, he called him safe, so it has to be clear and obvious, but it looks to me like that's clear and obvious from the replay.
oh,
Maybe
did he drop the ball?
maybe that back angle is what they're looking at here. He slides in. There's the catch. There's the tag. He looks out right there. I don't think
His
he
glove
dropped the
flares
ball.
open just a little bit, but we didn't see the ball roll out, so that may not be. But I think that might be why we're still in the review, because again, it looks fairly conclusive. And they're still looking at it.
Yeah,
So
they've got a freeze frame on it with the catcher Cabeza's glove on Gonzalez's wrist.
and see it's tough talking about it over the radio when the viewers can't necessarily see it in real time unless you're watching at the same time. The catcher kind of goes with his free hand as soon as the tag is applied. It almost looks to kind of gather himself after the tag has been made, which makes you think, well, maybe he did lose it in the transfer a little bit. And hopefully, if you're Coach Hernandez, your biggest hope at this point is that,
But-
well, maybe he dropped it. We can't overturn it. It's inconclusive.
The main angle from up above home plate pretty clearly shows that the tag gets to Gonzalez's ankle before he touches the plate. But this has been a rather long review. You're right, Bryce. But again, from all the replay angles we've seen, I don't think the Wildcats win this one. And there's going to be 2 outs with runners on first and second.
I don't disagree with you. Trying to put myself in the heads of the officials that are still down there. And again, I think the only thing keeping them down there is that Cabeza kind of looked a little uncertain with where the ball was, trying to make sure it was still in the glove. It's part of the issue you run into when you tag that lead foot. Gonzalez goes all the way through his body and kind of jars things a little bit loose. So the longer we wait here, the more I think it favors the Wildcats, although I don't expect it to go Bethune-Cookman's way.
We've looked at this main angle from behind home plate so many times now, and every time it looks like Cabeza applies the tag. Coach Hernandez is all the way over by the tunnel where the officials go in, where they have the little review room behind the third base dugout, almost as if he's mind melding Star Trek style to try and say that he's safe. Here come the officials, and he's out, as we probably figured he would be.
It's fun to dream, but again, I think a little bit of a desperation play from Coach Hernandez, one that maybe he'd like to have back. If Manny Sufrain maybe puts a little bit more behind that bunt or bunts it to one side or the other, we look back and say it was a great call, a great way to squeeze a run across, but that's the nature of baseball.
Yeah, because he bunted it basically right back to Vanderventer. If he puts that right or left, maybe you have a little bit of doubt. But again, that's all in the past now. Now Wildcats are in a tough spot. 2 on, 2 outs with Gonzalez Fable. Oh, excuse me. Gonzalez Fable at the plate. He struck out looking his first time up. First pitch from Vanderventer is a ball low. Man, I can't believe I'm still kind of baffled at that decision. And hopefully we can look at it at the end of the day and go, yeah, it didn't go our way, but we still ended up getting the W. Wildcats still down 1-0. Fabo grounds it to short. They'll go to second for the easy out, and that ends the inning. For the Wildcats, no runs, 2 hits, 2 left, and we go to the 5th. Wildcats still down 1-0. Could that be the turning point of the game? We'll see next on the CatEye Network. We go to the top of the fifth. Wildcats still trail 1-0 after a maybe woulda, shoulda, coulda moment at the plate for the Wildcats as they tried to suicide squeeze Jose Gonzalez home from third. It was originally called safe. After review, he was out, and the Wildcats still trail 1-0. Joel Corey doing work on the mound, though. He's allowed 1 run, 1 hit through 4, and the one is not his fault because of an error. And the first pitch is a strike to Sebastian Cabeza, the catcher who made that tag to get Gonzalez out at home. Swing and a miss on the sinker, strike 2.
And we've seen more swings and misses from JSU batters today than we've seen from any team against any pitcher the Wildcats have faced.
And that one completely missing his spot is Corey outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Cabeza singled to left in the first. That one came up and almost hit him, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. And another batter, Bryce. We're going to keep hammering on this, that Corey was up 0-2. Now it's 2-2. And there's a swing and a chopper foul. Cabeza barely got to it. But the longer this game goes with the Wildcats offense unable to push anything across, the longer you rely on Joel Corey being excellent as he has been. 2-2. Swing and a miss. Got him with the sinker again. Another strikeout for Corey. 6 on the day for him so far, just in 4 1/3. And the Wildcats have 1 out, and here's Letty Alvarez, who struck out his first time up. And all 6 strikeouts were swinging.
Corey is absolutely proving himself. It's kind of what playing those midweekers get you. You get against a team like this, it's not up to the caliber of the others, and you deal a little bit.
But some of the teams that Corey has faced this year: Florida Gulf Course, Florida, FIU, Jacksonville twice, North Florida, Florida State, and Stetson twice, as there's a strike outside corner, 1-1 to Letty Alvarez. He has also had some conference opposition: Alabama A&M, Mississippi Valley, and Florida A&M. Ground ball towards short. That's a tough charge for Cordova. Fields and fires, and he got him. A great play by Ramses. And we were maligning during one of the breaks, Bryce, about Cordova maybe not charging balls hit towards him as hard as he should. That time, he charges it out and gets the play.
Yeah, it's very much the way that play is coached. You want to come at the ball with your glove. Don't let it bounce up to you. There's too much unpredictability in that. We saw Colton Olison make an outstanding play, gloving it, going down to the ball. Cordova does the same right there.
Now with 2 outs, back to the top of the order for Rodney Hibbler Jr. He's struck out twice, once to begin the game and once in the third. He's ahead in the count 1-0, and now 2-0 as that one misses high. Wildcats need to get off the field with 2 outs and try and get back to the offense. But it's 3-0 now as Corey has missed badly 3 times. And maybe a little bit of the tension getting to the freshman here in the 5th inning. Still both bullpens quiet. Oh, and as I say that, Jackson State does look like they're starting to get somebody throwing down there. 3 balls, 1 strike, the count after Corey grooved one. And it's the ball 4 low. So once again, the 2-out walk hurts the Wildcats. And here's McClatty, who walked in the first and scored the only run, and then walked again in the third.
Corey just being very careful with the top of this Jackson State order. It's a deep order, so there's no real spot you have the opportunity to take off. But for whatever reason, with 2 outs, just being ultra conservative, maybe trying to work around a solo shot.
Spin it a throwback to first. McClatty back, or Hibbler, back in there. Him and McClatty are the steal threats. 33 and 36 steals between them this season. Nobody else on the Jackson State roster with more than 15. Another throwback to first. And unfortunately, the 3 walks that Corey has given up, 2 to McClatty and 1 to Hibbler. So there's your problem right there. You're giving the walks to the fastest guys in the order.
And by trying to avoid them getting on base, you're putting them on base.
And a third check over to first. Again, with 2 outs, you're just worrying too much about the guy over on first. Try and get the batter and get out of the inning. Long look in from Corey, under 10 on the pitch clock. Now he'll come home with it. Runner goes. It's a pitch out. Throw down to second is in time. What a play. Jackson State calling for review as Hippler thought he was safe. We'll see if Coach Omar decides to do so. And they're sending Van Deventer out. They're not going to challenge it. A nice throw by Escobar and a great kick by Olesen. And we go to the bottom of the fifth. Wildcats down one here on the CatEye Network. To the bottom of the fifth, Wildcats still down 1-0 in this elimination game at McNeese Baseball Park on the campus of Georgia Tech. Michael Cirillo and Bryce Wojnowski in the booth with you. Hopefully not for the final time this season. The batter is Colton Olesen. He watches strike one on the outside corner from Van Deventer. That's pitch number 63 from Garrett Van Deventer. We have some action in the Jackson State bullpen as Olesen watches one low and in ball one. The pitcher in the pen is Shamar Harris, the freshman, who we saw at third base in the first game between these two teams yesterday, as that one's a strike outside corner. And now the umpire's starting to give that outside corner, so the Wildcats are going to have to be aggressive, step up in the box and try and rip that one the other way. The 1-2. Olesen does rip it the other way, but foul.
Yeah, those are the kind of swings that you got to put on that ball to stay alive and prolong at bats, because pitchers are going to try to take advantage of it. You have to crowd the plate a little bit, try to throw that bat head out in front of it. If fouling it off is all you can do, that's still okay.
1-2 from Van Deventer. Way outside, missed with a changeup, and it's 2-2. And you start to see more of those misses further and further out of the zone as the 2-2 is popped straight up in the air. It'll fade towards the first base side into foul territory, and the first baseman Montesano makes the play.
Just a tough one. Those are the kind of ABs that haunted the Wildcats yesterday. Pop-ups, weak fly balls.
Back to the top of the order for Daniel Figueroa. He's 0 for 2. Grounded out to first, unassisted in the first, and then struck out looking in the third. What you want to avoid is having another 1-2-3 easy inning for Van Deventer as Figueroa fouls one back 0-1. Again, the message of get to the bullpen and then continue to pound the bullpen. The Wildcats have not been able to do it here in the fifth inning. And yes, they did it early yesterday against Jackson State as there's a big swing and miss at a breaking ball from Figueroa. He's down 0-2. But they went to Isaiah Williams, who's their top arm, so he's really kind of a starter, and you never really got him out of there. 0-2. Swing and a miss and a ball in the dirt. Ball gets away. Cabeza picks it up and throws him out. There's 2 away. Second strikeout of the game for Figueroa.
We said it between the break. One of the most disastrous things that can happen in this inning is allowing Van Deventer to get through quickly. With that bullpen starting to work behind him, you thought maybe you'd see a little bit more pressure. But the Wildcats lulling a little bit to sleep at the plate, and you're running out of time, even though you're only down 1, to put that pressure on.
Here's Garrett Shun. First pitch to him is a check swing strike on the inside corner. 0-1. Shun has reached base twice, singled in the first, walked in the third. has been one of the only two to consistently get a hit against Vandeventer, the under being Jose Gonzalez. The Wildcats do have 4 hits, and really the only issue in this game was the error by Fabo in the first. That allowed the run to score. It's just 1-0. Jackson State's 1 hit was not really consequential. 0-2, way outside, and it gets to the backstop. 1-2.
We've said it. Feels like whoever gets to the bullpen first may still very well win this ballgame.
Still nobody up for the Wildcats. It's going to be Joel Corre's game as Chun fouls another one off. The count stays at 1-2. And coming into this game, if you told me it would have been 1-0 in the 5th, I probably wouldn't have believed you, but here we are. As the Wildcats have gone ice cold at the plate. 1-2 upstairs by the faceplate of Olesen, 2-2. Jackson State, favorable crowd trying to get behind their senior pitcher. Vandeventer deals. Check swing, strike 3 called on the outside corner, and 1-2-3 go the Wildcats. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Vandeventer. He is up to 5, and the Wildcats get nothing. As we go to the 6th, still 1-0 Jackson State. Jordan McClatty leads off the top of the 6th for Jackson State. They still lead at 1-0. McClatty was in the box when Rodney Hibbler Jr. was caught stealing to end the top of the 5th. There's Joel Corre, who is up to 76 brilliant pitches. The only run allowed was on a walk and an error back in the first inning, and the way the Wildcats offense is going right now, that might be all Jackson State needs. Here's the 0-1 pitch in the dirt, and that one again caught Escobar underneath his knee pad and rolled to the backstop. 1-1. 1-1 pitch. Inside, forcing McClatty to jump back. And now Corey's starting to miss wider and wider in the zone. And you wonder how much longer he's going to have. But the Wildcats still with nobody up in the bullpen. 2-1. Way outside, 3-1. And I think if you're Coach Hernandez, you may start to think about getting somebody throwing. They've still got plenty of arms in that bullpen that can come in and throw. 3-1 to McClatty. Ground ball softly hit toward first, and it gets by the glove of Manny Sufrain and skips into foul territory. Another infield error for Bethune-Cookman takes away what would have been an easy out.
And that's the same kind of play we talked about with Colton Olson, Ramses Cordova. Sufrain plays it the right way. He does come attacking with the glove, maybe goes a little bit more of that scoop motion rather than letting the ball bounce up into his glove. Just a really tough break and what would have been a big-time bailout first out.
Now here's Lenny Montesano, reached on that error by Fabo in the first and grounded out to short in the third. Spinning the throw back. And again, McClatty's now been on 3 times without a hit, 2 walks, and an error. Hibbler's been on once. The 2 fastest guys, your 2 best base stealers for Jackson State as they check over again. Manny Sufrain's going to look over at the end of this game. There's going to be an imprint of the ball in the back of his glove. It's touching it so much. Finally, he comes home to Montesano, swing and a miss, throw down to second, and safe. Just in there ahead of the tag is McClatty.
Jackson State's top of the order. It's about what you can expect.
And now Coach Hernandez is going to come in. I hope he doesn't challenge that. That doesn't look particularly close. But now the Wildcats starting to move some people up in that bullpen. It looks like it
Pablo Torres.
might be Pablo Torres. I mean, you got to throw your best guy right now.
Yep, do or die. We didn't see that kind of approach from Texas Southern earlier today. Not that they necessarily had the luxury of some of the guys that are still left in this pen for Bethune-Cookman.
I think Johnny Hernandez just came up and talked to the home plate umpire about that call at second base just to give Pablo Torres some time to warm up. He knows that Corey may be towards the end of his rope here. If Corey can get you through this inning, maybe only give up one more, I think you might be okay with that. 3-2 to Montesano, the pitch. Swing and a miss. He went back to the sinker and got him. Oh, wait, that's only strike two. The board was wrong. Wow. Now it's 3-2. The pitch. Swing and a miss again. And that time he's down on strikes.
Well, that's how you power through it. I don't think that Corey thought that it was 3-2. They're not looking at the board from back here. It's a good way to just go right back to what's been working. Corey hasn't really had to mix it up a ton. Just go right back to those same breaking pitches, and they cannot get it.
Now Miles White, fielder's choice in the first, and grounded out to second in the third. On a nice play by Colton Olison. That one in the dirt, ball one. Pablo Torres getting ready, and they've sat down Shamar Harris in the Jackson State bullpen, confident that Garrett Vandementer is going to get them through this. Breaking ball strike on the inside corner for Corey.
That's a really nice pitch. That's impossible to catch up with if you're Miles White. If you want to swing at it, it's so far in on your hands, not much you can do with it. You're hoping it leaks a little too far inside. You can get the ball call, but when it's not, good luck.
That one's way low again. Corey's starting to miss further and further away from the zone. Easy takes for these Jackson State hitters, and he's putting himself in a position where he's got to put one in the strike zone. And that's where Jackson State could eat you alive. Runner on second is McClatty. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball, smash towards second. It's caught by Cordova. Now he's got in a rundown McClatty, and he's going to be tagged. Oh, they didn't say it was a catch. They said it bounced before it hit his glove. But anyway, they get the lead runner. Fielder's choice for White, his second of the game, and there's one on with two down.
That's a tough break for Jackson State. You go from potentially having a guy on third with two outs, a position they've been in a couple of times and weren't able to come through once, to now you're going to have a little work to do if you're going to scratch that runner across from first.
Now it's Eichelberger who's flied out to center and struck out in this game. And now what a great play by Ramses Cordova, right? He could have easily thrown that over to first, given up the runner going to third, but he decides, no, I'm just going to run at you and tag you out as they go back to first, and sliding back in is Miles White.
Well, part of the problem, too, is I think if McClatty just guns it for third, he might have a better chance for the Wildcats to make that decision to go to first, but I think he stopped because he thought maybe the ball was caught and he was out.
They go back to first again, sliding back in is White. White, 6 steals on 7 attempts this season. But again, 2 outs. The batter, Eichelberger, who was the best bat for Jackson State yesterday. First pitch, a strike down the middle. Eichelberger in the game yesterday, 4 for 5 with 4 singles, 4 RBI, and 2 runs scored. Another throwback to first. Somebody's up there stretching in the Jackson State bullpen, but it's not Shamar Harris. As Corey deals, swinging a foul right onto the foot of Joseph Eichelberger, and he goes down in a heap right in front of home plate. Irvin Escobar's got to go over there and check on him. That did not sound like it was very fun.
Unfortunately, it looks like he's going to walk it off.
And for the second day in a row, my shoe has come untied in the broadcast booth while I've just been sitting here. I'm not sure how that happens.
Well, I've got worse news for you. Your friend out in the Jackson State bullpen is Isaiah Williams.
Wow.
As we mentioned before this game, not sure if we did it on the air or just in pregame conversation, we have no doubt that Omar Johnson's going to be very aggressive. Very aggressive. The difference between trying to come back and play another game tomorrow against a really tough Wildcats team or take a nice breather, hope FAMU's got to play tomorrow and see them in the championship game is massive.
So if you burn Williams, right? If you're burning him, you're burning him. And maybe you just get through, take out the Wildcats now and get a day off. 0-2 to Eichelberger. Runner goes. Throw down to second is in time. Olison applies the tag. Jackson State wants another review. And this time Omar Johnson's going to give it to him.
It didn't look when the throw was made like the Wildcats had any shot at it. But we'll see if we watch this replay.
The throw was wide to the left of third. It was close.
It looks like he got him again in real time. I think he snuck it in on the hand. But with runs very clearly at a premium, Isaiah Williams is going to trot back over to the bench, so maybe he's not quite ready to commit to warming up just yet. We'll see. Here's the slowed down call. He looks out.
Well, did he? Oh no, he's
he might have
safe.
missed it.
He's safe. Did he swim that back arm? And once again, the back view is going to tell us, and he is safe.
Oh, it's close. I'm not sure that hand is all the way in. Look, you can see a gap right there where the tag's applied. That's the same shot.
I think
it's too close.
Well, again, the Wildcats got a call on the field overturned earlier in the game on a close play that maybe could have gone either way.
It almost looks like he may have missed the tag entirely.
Yeah, it looks like he's safe and the inning's going to continue, and that'll be really tough because then Joseph Eichelberger, the best hitter the Jackson State Tigers have, is going to get another look at a 1-ball, 2-strike pitch.
We'll see here. I'm not so certain that that's a guaranteed safe call. That one's close.
It all depends on whether Olison actually gets that front arm of Miles White.
Right. If he missed that one, it wasn't even close. But if he made even the slightest bit of contact there, when they cut to the alternate shot, timed up the same time as that third base side camera, his arm is not in on the backside of that base. It was a really impressive slide to try to avoid the tag regardless. Certainly gave himself a chance after he looked in real time like the out was made.
Now, is that contact right there? That's the big question.
That's the question.
Yeah. So we will see. This could be another long review as we had one earlier. Didn't go the Wildcats' way when Jose Gonzalez tried to score on a suicide squeeze that would have tied the game. Initially called safe. They went to review, and then he was out after a lengthy review process as Florida A&M begins to trickle in as they'll play the last game of the night against Grambling State, who won an absolute thrill ride over Alabama State, to send the Hornets home earlier today. Came back with 5 runs in the 8th to eliminate the preseason favorite in the SWAC.
And at this point, think we're fortunate. The weather seems to have mostly blown over, at least from what we can see. If it's behind us, maybe not, but the clouds are much higher, much less threatening, a lot lighter out here at the ballpark. Wind has died down. May avoid the weather. We know the SWAC, that's the last thing they want with Selection Sunday coming up.
Here come the umpires out of the tunnel. It will be out, and the inning is over. So the Wildcats win the challenge. Finally, one goes the Wildcats' way. Caught stealing is Miles White. The inning is over. No runs, no hits, 1 error, and nobody left on. We go to the bottom of the 6th. Wildcats still down 1-0 here on the CatEye Network. To the bottom of the sixth we go. Garrett Vandeventer still on the mound. 77 pitches for Garrett, combined with the 50 he threw against Texas Southern on Wednesday. And if the Wildcats are going to win this game, Bryce, as you told me between innings, they're going to have to do it right now because both Christian Womble and Isaiah Williams are warming up in the bullpen for Jackson State.
It's going to be a tough road to climb, as we well know, if either of those arms are in this game.
Sergio Rivera, the first batter. First pitch skips to the plate. Ball one. And it starts with getting the leadoff man on by hook or by crook. Hit by pitch, walk, base hit. It doesn't matter. Just get him on because in a 1-0 game, you can still try and play some small ball, move guys over. And the 1-0. Upstairs 2-0 from Vandeventer.
With Womble just really starting to get going in the last couple of minutes.
And now we're going to have a walk to the plate by Omar Johnson, the 18-year veteran head coach of Jackson State. He knows he needs to get his ace time to warm up, but they're not actually warming up, are the two big guys. Williams and Womble are just kind of standing around out there. It's still the freshman Shamar Harris, the one doing the active throwing.
And that's a big-time break as he looks next in line. But I'd be just really interested to see. I respect both of those guys being down there. That's a very aggressive move by Omar Johnson, playing for everything, playing for that trip to the championship, does not want to come back tomorrow. But again, I'd still rather take on the fatigued guy out there at this point. So you want to try to get to him as quickly as possible, put as much pressure on as possible. If you're going to put base runners on, if you're going to threaten, you want it to be with that flexibility of not having 1-2 outs.
Well, Coach Johnson knows if the Wildcats come back and win this, BCU has to be favored tomorrow. They've got all the momentum. They've got the arms built up in the bullpen as the pitch to Rivera is a breaking ball strike with the slider. 2 balls and 1 strike. So you got to get it done now. That's why their best arms are out there. Even if they did throw yesterday. 2-1. And a ball low, 3-1.
Well, I'm keeping the bat on the shoulder here unless it's down the middle.
Vandeventer rocks and fires. It was down the middle. Rivera didn't swing at it anyway, and it's a full count. A hero effort for the senior Garrett Vandeventer. 77 pitches today, 52 2 days ago. And he's still out there throwing the full count delivery. Swing and a miss. And Rivera goes down. He was way ahead of the changeup.
Well, now you see the little nerves setting in. I do like, at the very least, we saw a swing from Sergio Rivera. We've seen the Wildcats kind of drift into starting to get picky with full counts or with at least 2 strikes on the board and going down looking.
Now it's Jose Gonzalez, the only Wildcat with 2 hits today. And now 3 hits as he walks one right back up the middle. Runner on for Bethune-Cookman. 3 base hits for Jose Gonzalez today. 1 to right, 1 to left, 1 to center. And all of them have been, I believe, first pitch swinging.
Now would be prime time for Ramses Cordova to crank one.
Well, they announced Irvin Escobar as the batter. It's not. It's Ramses Cordova. Cordova, 0 for 2, a strikeout and a sacrifice bunt. Jose Gonzalez, you know, is itching to get back for his missed opportunity to score on a suicide squeeze. Back in the 4th, first pitch a strike outside corner to Cordova. And if I'm Vandeventer, I'm sticking low and away, low and away, low and away, and hoping I get those calls. Here's the 0-1. Inside and low.
That first pitch on the outer half of the plate, if that one drifts 2-3 inches over in the heart, Ramses Cordova, the way he's swinging that bat, is going to tattoo that ball.
1-all the count. Way outside, 2-1.
You have to think if Cordova gets on here, especially if it's via the walk, might be all we see from Vandeventer today.
Garrett trying to get his team to the championship game and a day of rest tomorrow. 2 balls and 1 strike. He looks the runner back and deals. Swing and a grounder towards the first base side. They go to second for 1, and that's all they'll get. 2 away now, and Ramses Cordova on first via the fielder's choice, and that feels a lot worse for the Wildcats than 1 out, 2 on. I thought for a second that Gonzalez was going to be able to run it out, but you got one of your slower guys in a situation to try and leg out a base twice in the game, and that's just maybe a little bit unlucky for the Wildcats.
It's tough, too. If this was the ninth inning, probably see an A.J. Smith sighting, but you got to keep your guy out there because he's going to get at least one more plate appearance.
And it's grounded to short by Escobar, throw to second, end of the inning. Van Deventer turns and pumps his fist to the dugouts, and the Wildcats will go to the 7th down 1 here on the CatEye Network. Joel Corre is back out there for the Wildcats with 91 pitches to his name. It will be his longest outing of the season if he throws 3 more through 91 and 6 1/3 against South Florida, a game the Wildcats lost 4-1 in Tampa. Joseph Eichelberger will be the leadoff man for Jackson State by virtue of him being in the batter's box when Miles White was caught stealing back in the 6th. First pitch from Corre. Swing and a miss from Eichelberger as Joel goes back to the sinker.
He's consistently had that pitch all day. His control started to wane with a little bit of tired arm.
And loses it low on an over rotation. 1 ball, 1 strike. But he's always just gone back to that sinker. And he's gotten strikeouts with it. That time he gets a soft contact. And it's going to be an infield single for Eichelberger as it was just in no man's land on the left-hand side of the infield. Only the 2nd hit given up by Joel Corre, and that is as soft as you can like.
And how important is keeping this a 1-run game? I mean, the Wildcats just not been there consistently. Nothing has shown you to this point that you've got the guns to be able to put up multiple. You just got to hope to claw one across and take it from there.
Here's Arjun Huerta. 1 on, nobody out. They throw back to first. The Wildcats have done a good job of eliminating Tigers from the base paths, be that being fielders' choices, stolen base, or caught stealings. Haven't had a pickoff yet today, but 2 big moments in this game were the caught stealing to end the 6th, the caught stealing to end the 5th, and the moment where Eichelberger was run out on the base pass. Huerta squares to bunt. The ball is outside. 1-0 to Arjun. If Jackson State wants anybody up right now, it's Arjun Huerta with his almost 900 on base percentage this week. The 1-0. He squares to bunt. It's into the glove. Did he get a piece of it? Yes. And it's a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. I thought I heard the contact from up here. Jackson State doesn't like it. And you can't review that. So the count is 1-1. I wouldn't be surprised if Huerta squares to bunt again. The corners are in. He does. He bunts it foul. Right side of the plate. 1 ball and 2 strikes now. Huerta might be due. Struck out in the 2nd, grounded out to first in the 4th. In this game that is on a knife's edge, 1 run to none in the top of the 7th in favor of the Jackson State Tigers. Corey comes set and fires. Misses it outside with the fastball. Just wound up and threw that one as hard as he could. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
No shock to us up here, but it's Womble and Williams and nobody else in that Jackson State bullpen.
2-2. Line drive base hit to the first base side. Eichelberger will hold at second. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see the end for Joel Corey right now. As here comes Coach Hernandez. What a superhuman effort by the freshman today. 1 run, just 3 hits. The run isn't even his fault because it came in on an error.
Future's bright for Joel Corey. I think if you're Coach Hernandez right here, you just don't want to go out in a game like this with your best arm, your best bullpen arm, sitting out there on the bench. You've got to give Pablo Torres a chance. He's got some of the best stuff, especially out of the pen for this Wildcats squad. Throws harder than anybody else in this conference. It's going to take a similar effort from him to keep this one within striking distance for BCU.
Here comes the Southwestern Athletic Conference reliever of the year, Pablo Torres. He's a sophomore from Orlando, from Central Point Christian Academy, and the young talents that Coach Hernandez and his staff unearth year after year after year. Last year, the breakout star was Irvin Escobar when he was only a sophomore. This year, Joel Corey, fantastic as a freshman. We've seen some other great freshman performances from Jorge Gonzalez-Fabo, and now Pablo Torres as just a sophomore wins reliever of the year and maybe set up to win it 1 or 2 more times in his Wildcat career if he stays in Daytona Beach.
A guy who participated with USA Baseball over the summer, just loves the game, loves to refine his game. Started off a little slower this year, but immediately rounded into form by the time SWAC play got across. He did face Jackson State 2 weeks ago today, went 1 2/3 innings. Did walk 3, but allowed just 1 run. It was an earned run, no hits. But we just know from watching Pablo Torres in this tournament last year that there's not a whole lot of familiarity with the kind of heat that Pablo Torres can bring when he can put that fastball up in the zone. The bat speed in this conference is just not there to catch up with it. Get ready for a lot of high heat.
Well, he's going to have his work cut out for him. Eichelberger on second, Huerta on first with nobody out in the 7th, and the Wildcats trying to hang in there down 1-0. And the 2 best arms on this Jackson State team in the pen, Isaiah Williams and Christian Womble. I think they're going to go Williams 1 inning and Womble another inning.
It's only going to get tougher from here. If you finish this at 1-0, if you get through this inning, you're okay. You're still in range where you can really get into run manufacturing mode, just trying to squeak somebody on. Maybe you get hit by a pitch, maybe a couple of walks, anything. Get the pinch runners going, anything like that. If this is a 2 or 3 run lead for Jackson State, it might as well be good luck.
Robert Tate Jr. is the batter. He's 0 for 2 with 2 groundouts to the left-hand side, 1 to short, 1 to third. And the Wildcats will be looking double play on anything in the infield here. Eichelberger on second, Huerta on first, back-to-back singles. First pitch from Torres. Squares to bunts. And it's upstairs, ball 1.
There's that little synchronized play we saw a little bit yesterday, about the same time in this game, with Colton Olson darting for first, corner infielders charging in, Ramses Cordova rounding the bag at second on the pitching mound side and then heading to cover third.
They might do it again here, and they do. They throw back to second. Sliding in is Eichelberger as Colton Olson dropped the ball. You cannot have a ball go into the outfield here. I would not run that play again.
Nice to try once. Now Jackson State maybe keep a little honest. Yeah, throwing one away would be absolutely disastrous.
It was the defense of the Wildcats that let them down yesterday. Only 2 errors, but at crucial times. There's a bunt foul, third base side. The count 1-1 on Tate. And it's just hard to bunt when you got something mid-90s flying at you up and in the zone. It's hard to get one down.
Because even if you do, it's going to be hit so hard towards the corner infielders. Going to be an easy play to make. Double play, still very much a threat. That ball's quickly in Fable's gloves, second to first, and there's 2 down.
Here's the pitch. It hits the umpire. The runners advance. I think they'll have to send them back, right? We'll see. I don't think it was a foul ball. I think it just squeaked through and caught the umpire in the chest, and now the officials will talk about it. Right now, it's a wild pitch, and the runners are now at second and third, which is backbreaking for BCU, because now anything out of the infield potentially scores 2 runs. I'm not going to mark the runners moved over on my scorecard yet.
Certainly looks like it was fouled from at least the real-time replay.
And that's what Coach Hernandez is now going to talk to the home plate umpire about. He thinks it was fouled off.
It's kind of tough to see from both angles. It kicked off of something. I'm not sure if it was Escobar's glove thrown up.
Unfortunately, it's a wild pitch. And second and third, the runners will stay. There have been a couple of just brutal turns of fate for the Wildcats in this game, and that's one of them. 2 balls, 1 strike now. And Robert Tate's going to swing away, and he watches one outside. 3 balls and a strike.
Teetering. This game is teetering.
And now Coach Hernandez barking at the umpires. He's now in danger of getting tossed, like he was against Alabama State in that Friday night game. I think he's still hot about the runners being moved over to second and third when the ball hit the umpire. And I think maybe Coach Johnny's just doing this to maybe try and fire at the guys like he did on that Friday against Alabama State. And he has given everything to the home plate umpire, Brandon Folks, who, to be fair, right now is keeping his cool. I don't think he wants to toss Coach Hernandez in a spot like this. The Jackson State crowd is now wanting Coach Hernandez tossed. Now the other umpires are going to come in, and they're going to talk about something as Coach Hernandez retreats to the dugout. I don't know what he's arguing about, though. It could have been the strike or ball because it was well outside. The Wildcats teetering on the edge of disaster here. Down 1-0. Runners on second and third with nobody out in the top of the 7th. 3 balls and 1 strike to count to Robert Tate Jr. And now Pablo Torres, with this conference from the umpires, just has to sit there and stew on the mound, waiting to get back in to try and face Robert Tate Jr.
Well, it's just kind of interesting. It has to be the runners moved up, I would have to imagine, because you wouldn't call the officiating crew in to talk balls and strikes. There's also been far more egregious calls than the one that was just made. And, you know, maybe Coach Hernandez, again, just trying to fire the team up. But usually when you're called back in for another little refresher, it usually doesn't mean anything's changing for you.
We're going to bring the rule book out here. We've had that happen already this season where the umpires had to go and get a physical copy of the rule book to look something up. We're showing the replay again that where maybe Tate fouled it off and it went and hit the umpire. Now Pablo Torres starting to throw a few soft tosses to the catcher, Irvin Escobar. Coach Hernandez obviously not liking what he's heard.
It's in what sport, though, are you ever able to go back in and reverse a play after an initial play has occurred after it? In what world could you go back and then retreat the runners, as it looks like nothing's going to come of a whole lot of nothing?
Coach Hernandez yelling at the BCU dugout, trying to fire them up. Pablo Torres alone on the mound. Second and third, nobody out. The batter is Tate Jr. The count is 3-1. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss, and it's strike 2. Fastball couldn't catch up to it.
Big pitch. No reason to go away from the fastball here. Just have to make sure it's in the zone. Force Robert Tate Jr. to have to put the bat on the ball.
3 balls, 2 strikes. The full count delivery is strike 3 called.
I didn't think he was going to get it. That ball looked really low, but rung him up. Huge, huge, huge swing.
And now it's Sebastian Cabeza.
The catcher, number 12.
Cabeza singled to left in the second, the only hit off of Joel Corre in the game, then struck out in the fifth. Still second and third, now one down. Torres deals. Outside corner, called strike one.
Yeah, if they're going to give you that corner, you've got to attack it.
Oh, 1. Runners go. Bunt attempt is in fair territory. A swing and a miss. And then Eichelberger's tagged out at third. The Wildcats catch a break.
That was baffling.
Wow. Eichelberger tried to come home on a suicide squeeze. It was a swing and a miss. And all Escobar needed to do was stand up and tag him.
And that pitch from Torres, absolutely filthy. Slider dips way away from the bat, was guessing fastball, no chance.
Cabeza pops it up. Right field down the line, long run, and it's into foul territory. Bryce, you're going to have to take over for a second.
No worries. It's been a long day for us up here in the booth. A baffling play from Jackson State. Very much akin to the way the Wildcats went about it this late in the game with still one-run advantage, but only one out at that point. Taking the bat out of your hitter's hands, forcing the issue a little bit too much. After a long pause, looks like we'll jump back into play here.
The count is 0-2 on Cabeza, now 2 away. Torres deals. Swing and a miss! He got him! No outs! Second and third, and Pablo Torres sits them all down. The Wildcats are still in the game. Down 1 going to the bottom of the 7th here on the CatEye Network. Wildcats go to the 7th. Garrett Vandeventer is set to throw his 90th pitch after throwing 52 on Wednesday. Arm made of steel, and he's allowed no Wildcat runs on 5 hits. Manny Soufrain leads it off. He grounded out back to the pitcher in the second, then bunted in on a fielder's choice, and he grounds one softly to the first base side. Backhanded by Montesano. He throws across. Safe! Vandeventer covered and never got his foot on the bag.
Yeah, had no idea where he was. Didn't realize he wasn't far off from the bag, and what a break. Do you think about A.J. Smith right now?
Of course I do. Of course I do. Because, again, your leadoff guy is one of your slowest on the team, and you need one, especially with Williams and Womble in the bullpen.
Well, we've got no movement yet. Trying to bunt him across. This is an interesting move.
Nope. Fabo watches strike 1. That was way low and inside. Whoa. I don't agree with that call at all from home plate umpire Brandon Folks.
Well, regardless, I do like Derek Hartaya, hitting coach, been so solid preparing this team all year long, taking his freshmen aside, calming things down, trying to slow the game down a little bit, and talk him through the plate appearance. Still very surprised, even though he pulled the bunt back, that you don't think about A.J. Smith. Manny Sufrain took a ball off the knee earlier today, ran a lot of bases earlier. You're probably your slowest base runner on this team. You just need one.
And again, Sufrain is double play material even on something soft because he's that slow. Not that he's not a great athlete. He obviously is. But just maybe you want to be more aggressive in this situation. It's a bunt straight in front of home plate. Vanderventer will fire over in time. And Manny Sufrain is at second.
Well, a good bunt, a nicely done job by Gonzalez Fabo, but I would still rather have A.J. Smith on second.
Yeah.
I understand you want the bat of Manny Sufrain hanging around if you go to extras, if you want him another plate appearance in the 8th or 9th. Do you have the flexibility with Womble and Williams in the bullpen to do that?
And that might be the end for Vanderventer as here comes Omar Johnson. Does Jackson State go to Williams or Womble now? I think they should. With the top, if Golison gets on, then there's one out and the top of the order coming up for the Wildcats.
Yeah, he hasn't pointed to the pen yet, but those guys have been warm for some time now. I think it'd be a mistake not to at this point. Of course, Womble and Williams both had their fair share of work to both arms so far in this tournament, both appearing yesterday.
And again, Manny Sufrain standing there on second, not someone who's going to come home on a single.
Just really, I get it. I mean, I understand. The big bat of Manny Sufrain, you may wish 2 innings from now that you had it back, but I'd much rather worry about that situation when it comes up with guys on the bench available to pinch hit.
And there goes A.J. Smith down to the bullpen? I'm not sure why he's going down there.
Could be a practice jog, maybe down to the foul pole and back. Nope, he's going to the bullpen.
He's obvious. He's not going to pitch.
No, he's just going out there to get a little more space to stretch. Oh, yeah, there come the sprints.
So Smith is getting ready, and here comes Christian Womble. The end for Vanderventer. He was excellent. 92 pitches, 6 1/3 innings, 6 hits, no runs, 6 strikeouts, just 1 walk. And if Jackson State gets to sit and rest on Saturday, there will be no one happier than Garrett Vanderventer. He has done his job.
Absolutely. And A.J. Smith continues to get warm down there. I wonder if the warm-up pitches for Womble here are going to be enough to get him ready and at the point where this coaching staff is comfortable putting him in this game. Your best hope for the Wildcats is that Womble's feeling it. Maybe a little sore, banged up, just overall fatigue. He may look good early in his first couple of pitches, but it'll remain to be seen through a batter or two how much fatigue he's feeling. This is a guy, of course, last year who was a regular starter for Jackson State, went deep in games pretty consistently, so he's no stranger to putting that toll on his arm.
This is the 3rd day in a row that Christian Womble has taken the mound at McNeese Baseball Park. 42 pitches against Texas Southern on Wednesday, 17 pitches in a closer role against the Wildcats yesterday, and now he's going to come in to try and hold the Wildcats again. Christian Womble has been the Wildcats' kryptonite throughout the last 2 years. They've only won 1 game where he has appeared, and they had to walk it off. That was the Robert Moya walk-off home run to secure the Wildcats the number 2 seed out of the East last year in the last series of the year. And I remember turning to you and going and asking you for the caption of Wildcats Womble, but they don't fall down, and you said no.
We get a little cheesy around here, but for whatever reason, that one wasn't the go-to that night. It does look like A.J. Smith has picked up the helmet. We're going to see him in the game. A little interesting maybe that you let Sufrain try to leg it out. Maybe don't go to A.J. Smith right away, but you're going to have to put the bat on the ball. You're going to have to put the bat on the ball. And Colton Olson in years past has had a knack for the clutch base hit. has been that guy. Haven't quite seen it from him this year in that same capacity, but just do your job. You don't have to be a world beater. We don't need Colton Olson hunting the fences after a home run today. He's had a lot of fly balls in this tournament. Just hit it through the infield, and A.J. Smith will be halfway to home plate, if not there already, by the time it hits that grass.
Colton Olson stands in. It will be Christian Womble, the best arm that the Tigers have, trying to close this one out, at least in the seventh. Womble's first pitch is grounded over the head of the third baseman into left field. Here comes Smith. He's sprinting home. He's gonna score! Senior magic in the playoffs for Colton Olson, and it's 1-1.
Do your job. There was nothing pretty about Colton Olson's swing right there. Ball was a little bit in on the hands, had to get around it quickly. That was a Jackie Robinson ballpark type play right there. Bounced way over the head, stayed up in the air long enough that I think Manny Sufrain could have scored on that ball.
Now it's Daniel Figueroa, top of the order up, with potentially the go-ahead run on. First pitch from Womble is actually a throwback to first, and now Jackson State has to be wary to try and get out of this inning with a tie game.
Well, and what you can't do if you're Jackson State, and I have no worries that they will do, is you can't try to pitch for tomorrow.
Swing and a miss. Olson is going to be caught between first and second in a rundown. He halfway committed to second, and he will. Oh, he's been hit in the back by the second baseman as he tried to scramble between first and second. He's called out on the rundown. He's going to argue that was interference. I don't think he has much of a leg to stand on. Coach Hernandez is now out barking from the third base coach's box, and we're going to have a meeting between the umpires. I don't think you can review this.
When these coaches get the opportunity to go to the headsets, man, you just never know. And even these officials don't deal with it a lot because they officiate a lot of games at this level. A lot of these guys are pick and chosen from across the SWAC. And so you don't see the reviews a lot. That's why you talk about having to get the rule book earlier in the year. The guys just aren't quite at that level. And
I don't think
you're
there's,
right.
I don't think
you
there's a
can
way
review
they
it.
call interference here, right? But immediately once he got hit in the back, Olson was screaming for it. Hey, 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 he hit me off the base path. And I don't think he had a chance of being safe without it, though, because he was in a clear rundown.
Oh, no doubt about that. I mean, you're almost never going to survive one of those, barring something absolutely catastrophic.
He's going back
He's
to
going
first.
back.
Interference is the call, and Colton Olson, you talked about a horseshoe being shoved up somewhere, Bryce. Maybe the senior's got it on his last go-around.
That's what it takes to win a championship, right? I mean, we saw it last year. You would think that on an interference call like that, wouldn't you normally be awarded second as well? But maybe this is the safer call, making Coach Johnson a little bit less unhappy. I certainly wouldn't want to be dealing with him down there. It's just one of these little quirks. Talk about seeing something different every time you come to the ballpark, and not every day you see one like that. But if Jackson State can't hold this, if this inning is the reason that the Wildcats can sneak in front and close it out.
Well, we were in a similar
to.
Situation, right, last year in this an elimination game against Jackson State, right? The Wildcats were down late. They came back, tied it, took the lead, and eventually won it 13-12 on a walk-off. Of course, 1-1 is a lot different than 13-12, and of course, the Tigers didn't have Christian. I don't know what names are anymore. I'm sorry. Didn't have Christian Womble on the mound in that game. They had somebody that the Wildcats had already seen that season and hit a lot off of. And protest from Jackson State. Omar Johnson not having it.
And when we see these games go under protest, it doesn't really mean a lot. With all the SWAC officials here, we do have the opportunity to kind of go over things in real time, but the SWAC hasn't shown that they're willing to step in and overturn calls like that. We saw, in the last game, we saw Juan Cruz with Alabama State. We saw his bat crack There's always the option of potentially thinking corked bat. They removed the bat from the game. We thought, well, what could happen here? Of course, Grambling State goes on to win the game, so it's out of sight, out of mind. But I don't think the SWAC steps in and makes that call regardless.
All right, Daniel Figueroa. Oh, no. It's batter's interference is the call. So
the runner stays. Or maybe it's you
at
get to
first,
choose?
Figueroa is out, and Chun is at the plate. With 2 down now and a runner on first. So either way, I think Jackson State gets out of that pretty good. First pitch to Chun. Swing and a miss. I didn't see Figueroa go back to the dugout. We were so busy looking at Colton Olison down there at first base.
I don't know if it's a scenario where, well, no, because Jackson State would definitely take the runner out rather than the guy at the plate.
Yeah. Chun squares to bunt. That might have been a good decision if that ball was anywhere near the zone, which it wasn't, because the third baseman, Alvarez, is playing almost to the grass. Now he'll start to creep up. The 1-1 to Chun. He does bunt it right at home plate. Picked up by Cabeza. He throws to first, out. And that's the end of the inning. But the Wildcats, through some clever base running and A.J. Smith and a big hit by Colton Olison, tie the game at 1 as we head to the 8th. There's life in these Cats yet here on the CatEye Network. After A.J. Smith pinch run for Manny Sufrain and came in to score, Manny Sufrain has been replaced at first by Frankie Feblis. It'll be the 9-hole hitter, Letty Alvarez. Pablo Torres still on the mound for Bethune-Cookman after getting out of a 2-on, no-out jam in the last inning. And he fires in a strike at the knees to Alvarez. But now you've got your closer out there in the 8th. How long does he have? The Wildcats don't have anybody else warming up. As the 0-1 is fouled away 0-2.
Well, Pablo Torres has gone 2 innings, at least 2 innings, 3 times this year. At Miami, that win, big win in the midweek, he went 2 2/3 innings, allowed just a 1 run, struck out 6.
Breaking ball, chop foul, and it's still 0-2 on Alvarez. Came back to that slider that time, did Torres. It takes a couple of miles per hour velocity off of it and adds a mean hook right at the end. Alvarez was just able to keep up. The 0-2. Does he go high fastball here? He does, and it's fouled away.
Now, I think no doubt this is Pablo Torres' game, especially when you look back to last year's SWAC tournament. 2 games against Jackson State. He went, one of them was right at the end of the regular season to clinch to the tournament. He went 3 2/3, and then in the tournament, he went 3 1/3.
That one's lined, the base hit to the left-hand side, leadoff single for Alvarez. And once again, Jackson puts the leadoff man aboard. The dugout's fired up. The fans are fired up, and it's back to the top of the order with Rodney Hibbler Jr.
Well, we knew it wasn't going to be easy. But unfortunately, with Pablo Torres, maybe your best pure strikeout guy on the staff, certainly on the short list, you're going to have to challenge guys. You don't have to worry about ground balls as much.
Hibbler, 2 strikeouts against Corey and a walk in the game. And he squares to bunt and punts it foul. And I talked a little bit when Torres came into the last inning about how difficult it is to get a bunt down with the velocity that Pablo Torres can bring. It almost looked like Hibbler didn't even get his bat around to it by the time the ball got to the plate.
Which would be the second time we've seen that, right? We already saw one whiff on a bunt attempt.
Timeout called as Colton Olesen, is that he's having some trouble with his shoe, or is there something in the grass out there that he wasn't happy with? Maybe a tripping hazard. And now we're back to playing. Not sure what that was. The 0-1. Hibbler squares to bunt. Pulls it back. Strike called on the slider. 0-2.
Don't lose guys when you're ahead in the count.
The Wildcats, and specifically Joel Corey, did this so much in this game. Up 0-2 and eventually ended up walking a guy or getting into a full count as they check over to first. And especially, you can't afford Hibbler and McClatty on these top 2 guys, their top 2 base runners. 0-2 pitch. Upstairs, tried to get the swing and the miss on the high fastball, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Don't mind that pitch. Gives you something to think about if you're Hibbler Jr. Guys love swinging at that high fastball. Pablo Torres is one. Do you think you can try to catch up to, get to you so quickly?
1-2. Swing and a miss. Went right back to the high fastball. 3rd strikeout of the game for Hibbler, and there's 1 down.
And when you've got cheese like that, you have to find a way to catch up to it when it's up in the zone because he can put it up there. And it's either go down looking or try to go down hacking. And like we said, most of the teams in this conference at this level don't have the bat speed to catch up with that kind of mileage.
Now here's Jordan McClatty. He watches a strike at the letters. McClatty on the game. 2 walks, reached on an error, and scored the only Jackson State run back in the 1st. He was also caught stealing as that ball's in the dirt, 1-1. No, he stole a base in the 3rd and then was caught out between 2nd and 3rd on a nice heads-up play by Ramses Cordova on a soft ground ball. Instead of throwing to first, Cordova just tagged him. He was standing right in front of him. Now the 1-1, they throw back to first. And back safely, Letty Alvarez. This 1-1 contest in the top of the 8th. Every time, Bryce, against this Jackson State team. Doesn't matter if it's first week of March or the coming down to the end. And there's the ground ball. Base hit just stuck inside the 3rd base side. Rounding 2nd, going to 3rd is Alvarez. He will be waved home. No, he fell at 3rd. Here is the tag applied, and he's out. What a heads-up play by everybody in left field. Shun to throw it in, Cordova to cut it off, and Fabo to apply the tag, and the Wildcats dodge another bullet. It's still a double, though, from Jordan McClatty, and he's on 2nd with 2 outs.
Well,
wow.
I think the issue there is I thought Alvarez might have given it a chance with just how slow developing that ball was out in the outfield. We're going to get a pinch runner here at 2nd. Oh, no, excuse me. McClatty was just handing his equipment in, but Chun a little slower to get to that ball, stayed away from his glove, and Alvarez, even though he's been given a big stop sign, really wanted to run all the way home and just slipped trying to round 3rd base.
I can see a big smudge in the dirt where he fell down behind 3rd base. But again, a great heads-up play to notice that from Cordova, not just sit on the play. So now McClatty at 2nd. He is definitely someone that can come in on a base hit from 2nd base, just like A.J. Smith did. The batter is Lenny Montesano. First pitch upstairs, ball 1. This game has had twists and turns. It's felt like we've been on a Tolkien-esque journey through the last couple of hours. And we've been here at the ballpark since 8:30 this morning. Inside corner didn't get the call. 2 balls and 1 strike. So 2 balls and no strikes, sorry. Two outs in the inning. 1-1. Torres getting up there near where his comfortable pitch limit on the season has been. That one fouled away. 2 balls and a strike. Up to 23 pitches now.
Pablo Torres is one of the few guys on this staff that can afford to just pound the zone when he gets down in the count because his fastball is quick enough that even if it's right down the middle, you got to be real quick to get on it. A lot of guys just can't do it.
You got to pound the zone here. 2-1 the count to Montesano, the pitch. Swung on, floated over the head of Olison into right field. Coming home is McClatty. Here's the throw to the plate. Safe. And Jackson State takes the 2-1 lead in the 8th. 2 straight hits by McClatty and Montesano, and there it is. The Tigers up again.
Still time left in this ball game. 6 more outs to deal with. Not a whole lot to hang your head about if you're Coach Hernandez. Joel Sanchez, the pitching coach, will come out and just have a conversation. But this is your best reliever. This is your best arm. This is the relief pitcher of the year. You ride with your guys. Still don't think we're going to see any bullpen activity.
No, there's nobody out there. This is Torres's game, or at least inning, as Isaiah Williams continues to throw out there. Christian Womble threw, 20-ish pitches in the last inning? So maybe you go to Williams for the last 2, or maybe you hold him for the last 1. But the Wildcats, it feels like they've used all their mojo just to tie the game, and now you're right back in the same position you were an inning before.
Yeah, but still a lot of time left. I mean, 6 outs is a ton to play with, but the grindy nature of this game. I mean, you look on the board and you see 6 hits for Jackson State, 7 for Bethune-Cookman, and you'd like to think there'd be a few more runs scratched across, but everything has just been scratch and claw and knock a guy over and sacrifice bunts, sacrifice flies, stealing bases. Nothing's come across from it. Outstanding pitching performances on both sides today. I don't think we're done with the drama yet. Either way, I don't think this will go quietly for either side, but it's not quite over yet. We'll see what kind of grit these Wildcats have with the time that's left.
This is gritty, old-timey baseball. Pretty much what the SWAC is all about.
Yeah, don't let the inflated offensive numbers fool you. A lot of teams love to win games like this. The Wildcats are one that learned a lot about how to win these low-scoring games this year.
Miles White is the batter after the RBI single with 2 outs from Lenny Montesano. And he grounds one right back to Pablo Torres. He'll underhand to first. Once again, the Wildcats can't get off the field with 2 outs. Bryce, they give up 2 hits and a run, and they go to the bottom of the 8th, down 1, 2-1 here on the CatEye Network. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Wildcats right back where they were for most of this game, down by 1. 2-1 our score. Christian Womble on the hill for Jackson State. Isaiah Williams has sat down in the bullpen. He's not throwing anymore. Looks like they're turning to Womble to get this one done and have a day off tomorrow. First pitch to Sergio Rivera inside. Missed with the curveball, ball 1. It's not over. The Wildcats still have 6 outs to work with, but the way the offense has looked today, it's going to need some kind of miracle. As here's the 1-0 from Womble to Rivera. It's low.
And if you can get Sergio Rivera on, you've got a guy behind him in Jose Gonzalez. 3 for 3 today. Has hit the ball hard every time he's been up there. See maybe if the Wildcats can unearth the long ball.
More so than basically any other time I've seen a Johnny Hernandez coach team, as that's up and in ball 3.
I think he wishes he took it. I think he wishes he stayed in there and got hit.
But more than any Johnny Hernandez coach team, this week the Wildcats have relied on that home run. They've hit a ton of them. 3-0, and ball 4 inside, a 4-pitch walk to Sergio Rivera, tying run aboard. And Jose Gonzalez coming up next.
Omar Johnson's giving it to the home plate official, asking where that last one missed.
It was inside.
I agree. But how much of a leash now do you have with Womble, with Williams over there ready to go?
But Williams pitched yesterday. Well, so did Womble. Womble's pitched all 3 days of this tournament. First pitch to Jose Gonzalez is a ball low. And at this point, I'm taking until Womble shows he can put it in the zone.
And if I'm Omar Johnson, I might get him out if I see one more ball.
Williams has started throwing again out there in that right field bullpen. The 1-0. Spinning a throw back to first in safely is Rivera. As you see Coach Hunter with the stopwatch, checking that pop time. Even now, with the season on the line, with the late innings of this game, checking the fundamentals, keeping the guy solid. The 1-0. That one caught the inside corner. Finally a strike from Womble, 1-1.
You just know he's tired.
Trying to push through to get Jackson State to the finals. 1 ball, 1 strike. The pitch inside and low.
Another one nearly hit him. That's disastrous. Doesn't get easier to get on base than that.
2 balls and a strike. Swinging a foul tip back to the screen. You know Gonzalez wanted all of it, but now he's got to protect with 2 strikes.
You can see it on his face, gritting his teeth. Knew he missed one. A little bit over top of that ball.
Rivera leads off first after a leadoff walk here in the 8th. Womble nods at his catcher, comes set, kicks from the stretch. Runner goes, swinging a foul ball back to the screen again.
Another one. Same spot, same contact. Foul back underneath it.
2 balls, 2 strikes. I know Gonzalez wants to hit this ball hard, but you gotta be prepared to take one if it's bad.
Don't get picky. Wildcats have done it too much today. Do not go down looking.
A throwback to first, Rivera in there. This mostly Jackson State partisan crowd trying to will their team to a final spot here in the semis. The 2-2 pitch, swinging another foul ball. That was the slider.
Still just a little bit underneath it. Not a bad defensive swing, just trying to stay alive. But again, swinging really hard.
And you don't have to, right? All you got to do is just put one through the infield, keep that carousel rolling. Again, Womble comes set, the 2-2 for the 4th straight pitch. Ball gets away from the catcher. That'll give a free base to Sergio Rivera. He rounds second looking towards third, but Cabeza goes and retrieves the ball.
Everyone take a breath. Everyone relax.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Now the tying run potentially at second base on a hit. And you got to be careful, too. If he hits the ball, don't be overly aggressive and send him early. There's still nobody out. The 3-2 pitch from Womble is on the way. Ball 4! 2 on, nobody out.
Jackson State again thinks that they had him. Omar Johnson still sitting there on the dugout railing.
And now, here's Ramses Cordova. He's been great all week, but not today. Do you consider bunting here? And just trying to move guys to second and third so a fly ball could tie the game.
With Gonzalez at first and the double play a factor, I don't think I do. You've run into it once already.
He does square to bunt, and it's outside ball 1. Now, that's why I would bunt. Because Gonzalez is on first, and the double play is a factor if Cordova grounds into it.
Yeah, but I'm not so sure.
And that might be the end for Womble. You can tell he's struggling. He rolls his shoulder back. He stretches down, grabs some rosin off the back of the mound.
And if this goes south for Jackson State, You have to look at the head coach. I mean, he didn't have it for much more than just one batter. Didn't look sharp out of the gate. I would have probably thought about it as soon as Sergio Rivera got on. There hasn't been a call to the bullpen yet, but Omar tends to be a little slow to make the point over. If he leaves him out there, I think it's a baffling decision.
Well, we watched the Alabama State and Grambling State game where Grambling State came back to win, scored 5 runs in the 8th, where some baffling decisions were made by Coach Vasquez for the Hornets, right? Throwing 2 guys out there on 1 day's rest that had seen that Grambling State team already this week, and they just hammered him.
Well, and it's really interesting between Alabama State and Jackson State, kind of a different era in the way that these teams have handled relief pitchers from what we saw even just a year ago. I mean, between Vasquez and Johnson, you're going to the guys every single day. You're not wasting time with anybody in between. You're going Womble 3 days in a row. You're going Williams 2 days in a row. Same thing with Alabama State.
Womble's
going to stay out there. That's unbelievable.
Omar knows that Womble's his guy, the senior.
You can have every bit of confidence in the world in the guy. You can't fix his arm being tired. You can't coach him out of being tired.
3rd straight day in a row, Womble's taken the mound here at McNeese Baseball Park. And he's got 2 on, nobody out. And Ramses Cordova in a 1-ball, no-strike count. He squares to bunt. He puts it down. 3rd base side, charging is Alvarez. He throws across to first in time. And that is doing your job. 2nd sacrifice bunt of the day for Ramses Cordova.
Let's see if Irvin Escobar can return to his 2023 form.
And
they're going to put a pinch runner on 2nd. They're going to pinch run for Jose Gonzalez.
And that's Yoancel Diaz, who hasn't been that pinch runner since his first year with the program when before he was used out of the pen. That was his only role. Got that bigger frame. Doesn't necessarily look like your textbook pinch runner, but that's why he was here 2 years ago. He can move.
And the timeout called by Coach Cartaya. 2 on, 1 out, 2nd and 3rd. Oh, boy.
Well, this is when we talked to Coach Hernandez last night after the game. He made one thing abundantly clear, is that he was confident in his team's scouting report. He knew 100% Jackson State's plan of attack. He knew how he wanted his team to attack it, and the team did not go out and execute. And I have no doubt here that Derek Cartaya, Coach Hernandez, have that solid rock of background work, of that pregame preparation, of that season-long preparation behind them. The plan is not going to be the problem. It's now up to Irvin Escobar, the Wildcats on the base paths, to do the executing. But Coach Cartaya has jumped right into this program and really been such an outstanding job at that hitting coach spot.
I got a question for you as Escobar stands in. You don't try the squeeze again, do you? With Rivera on 3rd, one of your faster guys?
It's a tough hill to die on. I wouldn't do it.
Swing and a foul away from Escobar, ball 1. Escobar, 1 for 2. He was robbed of a base hit by a great defensive play by the shortstop, Tate, in the 2nd. And then he singled and reached on a fielder's choice his other 2 times, and he watches a ball upstairs. 1-1.
Seeing by leaving Womble in there, if he somehow loses Escobar and puts him on with a walk, then even if you go to Williams, he's got no room for error.
The pitch, low, in the dirt. And the 2 misses on this at-bat, and most of the misses from Womble in this inning have not been competitive, not getting swings and misses out of the Wildcats. Escobar, the hero of last year's title run. And he swings and grounds it. 2 first. Coming home is the throw. Out is the call. Rivera is out, and the Wildcats back against the wall again. And they're going to review it. I thought Coach Hernandez might, but this looks pretty cut and dry.
Certainly did it in real time. Don't blame the try, though. And keep in mind, too, these Wildcats aren't done. Still have a runner on 3rd. It's not as ideal as it was.
The batter will be not Manny Sufrain because he's out of the game. It'll be A.J. Smith unless they pinch hit. And they are going to pinch hit. They're going to bring in Frankie Feblis.
Or no, Frankie Feblis would
Right.
have to be pinch hit for because he came in on defense.
Yeah.
Hard hit ball from Escobar up the first base line. It's a nice play by Montesano to be able to get to it. Can't take plays like that for granted.
Yeah, he's out. I just looked at the replay once. He got him on the head. But
Hasn't tagged him yet on that
but
shot.
is he blocking the plate? But the plate's way over there. Yeah, he's out. He's way out.
Yeah.
The only thing they're potentially looking for, I think, is if Cabeza's blocking the plate. I don't think he was. I think he was in legal tagging position.
I've certainly seen that call go many different ways in this conference before. I disagree with the call many times, even as recently as the softball tournament a couple of weeks ago. Again, I think this is another one that the longer it goes on, the better chance for the Wildcats, but I'm not putting us in that territory
there's
yet.
no chance. This is a really quick review. He's going to be out.
Yep.
And the Wildcats have had 2 runners thrown out at home in the ball game. And those 2 are your difference, right? The suicide squeeze play, and now that one, the ball just hit a little bit too hard. And the play was made by Montesano coming home to get Rivera. And it was a hit and run, right? So there was really no option to try and retreat to third for Rivera because Diaz was right behind him. And now the Wildcats are banking on a base hit from another senior in a tough spot, Frankie Feblis.
Well, he came through once today. Wasn't super consequential just because of the state of the game at that time against Texas Southern, up well within run rule range, but Frankie Feblis certainly a guy who deserves an opportunity in a spot like this for what he's given this program. Nothing would make anybody in this ballpark happier than to see him
Runners
come through.
On the corners, Escobar at first, Yo-Yo Diaz at third, pinch running. The first pitch from Womble is a strike at the knees. I want to see Escobar go to second, and maybe you can try and bait a throw out or something here.
Double steal. If anybody's seen it, it's certainly Jackson State. Coach like Omar Johnson like to think they have the play ready to break it.
0-1, check swing, ball low, 1-1. They haven't gone to the steal yet. Nobody's really covering second base for Jackson State or even close to it. And Womble's thrown nothing but strikes. Or sorry, nothing but fastballs. The 1-1 is another fastball, missed it low and away. Feblis squared to bunt, so now the corners are going to play in a little bit. If Frankie could just pull one over the third baseman's head, that might be enough. 2 balls and 1 strike. The pitch from Womble. Swing and a miss. Fastball outside corner, and the Wildcats are down to their last strike in the 8th. Once again, the Wildcats have been thrown out at the plate with a chance to tie the game. Now they go to second. They'll let him have it. Here's the pitch. Ball outside. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Womble didn't even look. Not even a second look. It's about what I'd expect for a team that's gone so much to it. But now, put a base hit out there. See what can happen.
The 3-2. The swing, the miss. Christian Womble fires up the Jackson State dugout, and the Wildcats will have to hold in the bottom of the 8th and then go to the 9th down by 1 as they trail 2-1 here on the CatEye Network. We have reached the ninth. The Wildcats are down 2-1, and Pablo Torres is still on the mound. He's going to have to try and hold, and then the Wildcats are going to have some ninth inning magic, some Daytona magic, if you will, to keep their season alive. They've done it once before against Jackson State last year. And Bryce, what a year of BCU athletics it has been. It's not quite over yet, but this team maybe has found their kryptonite this year as Joseph Eichelberger stands in. First pitch to him from Pablo Torres, a fastball strike.
Well, you see the SWAC baseball tournament kind of culminating another year of athletics as it does every year. You get a chance to look back and think about, all the successes and whatnot. This baseball team, of course, chief among them. One of the most outstanding programs on campus, year in, year out. Recruits well, plays well at home. Outstanding group of seniors.
Eichelberger fouls it off to the first base side out of play. Count 1-1. Correction, 2-1. Sorry, 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Long day at the office.
Long day, long week at the office for both of us, and I appreciate your company all season long up here as of all of my co-commentators for every sport. I know Henson White just texted me a couple of minutes ago. Appreciate you tuning in, Henson, and appreciate your company on basketball and baseball broadcasts all season long. Daryl Mateel, I know, is listening in. Baseball, football.
We're the only people out here rooting for our job to go even longer. I'd love to stay and work again tomorrow.
Here's the 1-2. Swinging a foul back from Eichelberger.
No such thing as summer vacation in the athletics world, of course. Trying to do bigger, trying to do better. Football on the horizon, as always.
We delivered our football media day kit today to the SWAC office. 1-2. Swing and a miss. Off speed got Eichelberger, and he goes down. His second strikeout of the day, 1 out of the 9th. And the batter will be Arjun Huerta, who's 1 for 3. Struck out in the second, grounded out the first and the fourth, and singled in the 7th.
And how fortunate are the Wildcats to have a coach like Jonathan Hernandez, who navigated the MEAC to SWAC switch better than any other coach maybe in this department has. Just immediately come in and shown this conference what good baseball looks like.
First pitch, strike outside corner to Huerta.
We only know it's only going to get better. I mean, it is certainly a rising star within the coaching industry.
0-1. Outside, missed with that one. I've noticed that Arjun Huerta almost does the kind of like Juan Soto strut where he puts his front foot way forward between pitches before coming back set. 1-1. Swing and a foul away to the left-hand side. 1-2. And how about this Jackson State team, right? 4th seed coming out of the East. We knew they were better than some of the Western teams, but the Wildcats won the regular season series against them. But just to come in and put 2 excellent performances on against the Wildcats in this tournament, and in completely 2 different ways, right? This one, the low-scoring pitching and defense war, close plays up and down the field. And then yesterday, the high-scoring game, 11-6, the 2-2, Torres low, 3-2.
And it kind of shows you the importance, again, of staying in that winner's bracket. Jackson State comes in today playing a lot looser, knowing you have the backdrop of a game tomorrow. If you do falter a little bit, all it takes is 4 games of getting hot to win a SWAC title. We know that.
We saw Southern do that a couple years ago. As that's ball 4, and Huerta is aboard with 1 out.
Like we said, Jackson State could be up 12-0. They could be down 12-0. They could be in a 1-run game, and they're still going to take their walks. They're still going to hit some base hits.
Coach Hernandez is going to come out and talk to Pablo Torres. There's nobody warming up the bullpen for the Wildcats, so it is Pablo's game here in the 9th.
39 pitches for him. Asked to do a lot, as is anybody. Shows the trust that Coach Hernandez has in Pablo Torres and the stuff of Torres. Of course, Coach Hernandez and Pablo will probably be tied pretty close at the hip over the summer, much as they were last year, going out and working out with USA Baseball once again. Torres represented last year. More than likely will do so again this year. So they'll be pretty close over the coming months, doing a lot of great things.
And this year for BCU baseball is almost the end of an era. You kind of feel like the end of the post-COVID era. And now next year with a new fresh crop of guys coming through, you still have a lot of the same names back, but with a new recruiting class coming in, we were talking about it a little bit between innings. Johnny very high on a couple other recruits, a couple of the high major guys maybe dropping down, a couple of JUCO guys coming in. You know, Coach Hernandez works that JUCO portal harder than pretty much anybody else, especially down in South Florida. There's always talent to come in and fill those gaps.
Absolutely, absolutely. And part of the job is making sure that you can turn things over as efficiently as possible, maintain that same high level of success. But I think I speak for both of us when I say that any BCU team without the presence of a Colton Olison is going to feel a little different identity-wise. You know, he's been that leadership figure. He's been that personality on this team year in and year out. He's been here through the navigation of the COVID pandemic, and you know was one of the guys who chose to stay. And another one is Colton Yoancel Diaz, another one that chose to come back, stick around, give his dues to this program. Frankie Feblis, another. There's a lot of guys on this team who have prioritized this program, who have given their college careers to this program. It's going to feel a little different next year. Those are big-time leadership figures on this team.
First pitch from Pablo Torres after a long mound visit by Johnny Hernandez is a ball upstairs and away to Robert Tate Jr. Tate 0 for 3, 2 ground outs to the left-hand side and a strikeout. With Huerta on first and 1 out top of the ninth. Another run here would be a backbreaker for the Wildcats. Swing and a miss at a fastball. And it's 1-1. I think if you're Torres, you just got to throw that pitch. Whether they get weak contact or they swing and miss, that is your bread and butter. Torres deals. Up and in, ball 2. And I am a firm believer that this program's time will come, and it may come soon, and it may just not be today. 2 balls, 1 strike. Just missed low and away, 3-1.
It's obviously an ever-shifting landscape in the NCAA to stay competitive year in out with the transfer portal and all the moving pieces. But Coach Hernandez, especially when you talk about that JUCO, how much he's hammered the recruiting rankings over there, it makes it easy to stay competitive.
Fouled away, 3-2. The count goes full on Tate.
That's why you don't expect to see any kind of drop-off year to year. It's a program that's here to stay. It's a program that's in good hands. Obviously, the Daytona Tortugas treat us very well. We've got the upcoming improvements to Jackie Robinson Ballpark that will only further strengthen the program, whether it's preparation, whether it's recruiting. It's an enviable spot to be in this conference.
Hit in the air to right field. Moving over is Rivera. He makes the catch. That's the first, fly ball out I can remember for a long time in this game.
Yep. A lot of stuff been put scorching through the infield, rolling out into the grass.
Number 12.
But luckily right at Sergio Rivera, Jackson State crowd's ready to explode.
Here's the second baseman, Sebastian Cabeza. Singled in the second, struck out twice after that in the 5th and 7th. As we play here, top of the 9th, Wildcats down 2-1. They still have 3 outs to potentially find something. There's a big swing and miss from Cabeza. As the clouds part a little bit over McNeese Baseball Park here in beautiful Midtown Atlanta. A beautiful place to watch a ball game and to come to work. Check swing, no swing, ball outside, 1-1 the count. The high rises of Midtown Atlanta, the trees in the background behind the right field fence. Just a gorgeous ballpark, and the SWAC is lucky to have this for their conference tournament. As there's a strike down the middle, 1 ball, 2 strikes to Cabeza. We'll be here 1 more year. That's the 1 year that's left on the contract, and then we'll see. Of course, I know the Jack, after the improvements in the next couple years, may be looking to host. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Torres deals, bounces 1 to the plate. Huerta stays on first. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
You know, I hope all this waxing poetic is not the last time we have to do it this year. We very well could be in this same spot tomorrow doing this all over again. I'm not ready to quite quit on this one yet, but certainly got to be prepared for all outcomes here.
2-2 with 2 down. Torres trying to get out of the inning. And it's low, ball 3. Urban Escobar looked to maybe run Huerta back at first. He gets back in there with no throw. And now, if you're Torres, you got to come into the zone. 3-2. Big breath from Torres, and he misses it, ball 4. And the inning continues for Jackson State. 2 walks in the frame for Torres. And now it's Letty Alvarez.
Number 24.
Nope, it's going to be a pinch hit. And Shamar Harris, who warmed up in the bullpen for a long time in the middle innings in this game and played third base yesterday, is going to come in to pinch hit.
Blake, number 16. Well, Jackson State.
Up over the 50 pitch mark now is Torres. Back in 2023, crossed that mark on 4 separate occasions.
Hasn't done so this year. He's longest 47 pitches against Northwestern in just 1 inning. Gave up 5 runs on 4 hits against the Wildcats from Chicago. Shamar Harris is from Chicago. He's a freshman, and he stands in now, takes a first pitch strike outside corner. Harris yesterday, 1 hit, 2 flyouts, 2 fielders' choices. There's a hit into left field gap, and coming home from second is Huerta, and the job gets tougher for Bethune-Cookman. It's 3-1 Jackson State.
Finally, a little bit of activity in the Bethune-Cookman bullpen. Don't think we'll be in a spot to make the call just yet. Pablo Torres giving it everything he's had here today. But when you throw as hard as he does, the fatigue will set in sooner rather than later. Misses his spot, goes middle. We're going to have some kind of conversation between the home plate officials. I'm not sure. Maybe if it was a little something said after crossing home plate.
Yeah. So Shamar Harris, the freshman, comes through with a big hit, scoring Huerta from second. Cabeza now on second. Harris on first. And the top of the order coming up, and it is Rodney Hibbler Jr. Even though he struck out 3 times today, he is still a danger man. And I think they are going to give a warning to the Jackson State bench, maybe for something that was said by Huerta. Is that Lepovsky warming up down there?
One of them's Dale Machad, and I can't quite tell who the other is. Hasn't thrown a pitch yet, just kind of standing in the spot looking like he's ready to.
And Dale Machad, another senior that hasn't seen the field in this tournament. Oh, Coach Armar's hot about something down there on the first baseline. Not sure what.
Well, Coach Omar's hot about everything. He's not a very happy person on the baseball diamond, from what I've noticed at least.
He has given it to the crew chief of this crew, Brando Montgomery. And I don't know for what. Nobody was called out. The run scored for Jackson State. It's still 3-1. I'm not sure what this is about. There hasn't been an official warning given to the Tigers.
Oh, and he got tossed.
And Omar just got tossed. What? Wow. Over seemingly nothing, right, Bryce?
Certainly seems like it from up here. The most, again, that I can think that could have occurred is something was said on the way back to the dugout by the runner who scored, and Omar taking issue with the questioning of his guys. I don't want to go as far as to say that it's classless to get tossed at this point, but it's not a great look. It's really not.
Yeah, we saw Coach Hernandez get tossed in that last series against Jackson State and then come back the next day. So Johnson will be back for the finals.
And there's one thing, too, for Coach Hernandez to go out and get tossed, clearly with the intent of giving his guys some juice. You know, I'm sure there's a talk with the home plate officials after the fact that says, hey, man, listen, here's what I was trying to do. Here's what was going on. Just keeping it honest, trying to maintain that professional relationship. Omar Johnson went right at this officiating crew for seemingly not a whole lot.
And now Coach Hernandez is coming out, and he wants an explanation for what's going on. Pablo Torres getting some soft toss in to Urban Escobar behind the plate. And, well, we've had drama in spades today, Bryce, and unfortunately it looks like it's going to go against the Wildcats, but drama nonetheless.
Well, we're not done yet. As further and further out of reach as things may seem, there's going to be a couple of guys rush out to that Jackson State bullpen now.
I guess if you have a 2-1 lead, you don't want to burn Isaiah Williams. Now Coach Hernandez is coming in and he's going to talk to Pablo Torres. And through all of this, maybe Dale Machado has gotten ready enough to come in the game.
It's Dale Machado and Patrick Rourke. I think there's two ways of looking at it. Either you give Dale Machado the chance, being a senior, go out one more time, or you go with Rourke, who's got a little bit better stuff, really try to make sure you maintain the spot you're at. Could see it going either way. You figure if you do manage to pull it off, you got Rourke again for tomorrow.
And starting to warm up in the bullpen for the Tigers is Chance Pollard, number 7. Williams continues to throw down there. But again, if you're Jackson State and you want to save Williams for the championship game, and there's any doubt in your mind that you don't need him to get through this one, you keep him on the bench.
You get that added flexibility if you're playing for that break tomorrow, that especially the way that Coach Johnson has run through his staff this week, that you can.
And a big hug from Pablo Torres. He gave it all he could out there. Came in with 2 on, nobody out, and shut the Tigers down. Unfortunately, he just couldn't hold it through 3 full innings of work for the reliever that's usually going for 20 to 30 pitches. He's up over 55 in this ball game.
No surprise that it's Colton Olison, captain of this team, giving him the hug on the way on out as we give way to Dale Machado, getting a chance to show out. Hopefully not, but potentially for the last time here as a Wildcat in his college career.
Dale Machado, someone who has been beset with injuries this year, but always in the dugout with that loud, gravelly voice, trying to fire up the guys, a great presence in the locker room.
Not to mention a really outstanding relief arm in his time with the Wildcats. Don't let this year take away from what he was been able to accomplish. I think it's the past 2 years he's led the team in ERA. Hasn't been the flashiest guy, but just finds a way to get outs, and it's been tough. I mean, he would sit behind us back when we were down at the Jack at the table in front of the netting behind home plate, and he would be on radar, he'd be on the scouting team, and just doing whatever was asked of him while he was trying to come back from an injury he sustained right before the season. Never quite got all the way right. Tried to work him in starting back in that Alabama State series about midway through the conference season. Got limited action. Never really trusted him enough, trusted that injury enough to put him in consistent, sustained, week in, week out action. Never quite got back into the feeling of it. And so never really factored in at the end of that Wildcats bullpen. But this was a guy who was really outstanding over his time with the Wildcats.
This year, only 5 appearances, including this one. 2 against Alabama State, 1 against Miami, 1 against Jacksonville. He's got a 9 flat ERA. 3 runs on 3 hits the first time against Alabama State. 1 run on 1 hit against Miami. 2 runs on 2 hits against Jacksonville. No runs on 1 hit against Alabama State. It's probably his best outing of the year in 1 2/3 innings. Jackson State has Cabeza on second, Harris on first after his RBI single. It's Rodney Hibbler Jr. back to the top of the order. 1 in the inning, 3-1 Jackson State here in the top of the 9th. Machado's first pitch is fouled high in the air behind home plate. Escobar chasing it back, and it will go over the net. Machado, a complete opposite to Pablo Torres. Well, Torres just blows you away with his speed. Machado has maybe some of the best breaking stuff I've seen in this conference. Sidearm delivery, gets a lot of movement laterally on that slider. And the 0-1 is a slider. Did the batter go around? No. List is low and away, 1-1.
Not a big strikeout guy, averages about 1 an inning over his career.
The 5th-year senior from Key West, the southernmost point of the United States. 1-1. Misses way outside. Escobar has to stab at it to prevent it from going to the backstop. And like any other pitcher in any other game, your job is to throw strikes right now. Let your defense work. There's 2 outs in the inning.
Just need 1 pitch. 1 pitch.
And again, the Wildcats can't get off the field with 2 outs. There's a fastball. First one Machado's thrown. It's a strike. Count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Eichelberger struck out. Then Huerta walked. Tate flew out. And then Cabeza walked, and Alvarez singled him in. 2-2. Swinging a ground ball towards short. Cordova Fields fires to second in time, and that'll end the inning. 1 run, 1 hit, 2 left. And we go to the bottom of the ninth. Wildcats need a miracle, down 3-1 to stay alive here in this season on the CatEye Network. We go to the bottom of the ninth here at McNeese Baseball Park at Rush Chandler Stadium in downtown Atlanta. And it is Isaiah Williams, the junior lefty from California, who pitched 64 pitches, 3 2/3 innings last night in a win against Bethune-Cookman. Really shut the Wildcats down, allowed only 3 hits, struck out 2, didn't allow an extra base hit to try and close this one out and give Jackson State a day of rest going into the finals on Sunday. The Wildcats are down 3-1, and it's not like they've hadn't had chances. 2 Wildcats have been thrown out on the plate, both all called out on review. Both teams have had 7 hits. The Wildcats' 2 errors have hurt them.
Left 9 men on base.
And that's really what it was. The issues that have come back, that have haunted you all season, have come back at the worst time. Not getting off the field with 2 outs and leaving runners stranded on base. First pitch to Jorge Gonzalez-Fabo, the freshman, is wide and outside to the righty. 1 ball, no strikes. Williams deals upstairs ball 2. Fabo today struck out in the second, reached on a fielder's choice in the 4th, and then bunted Manny Soufrain to second at a sac bunt. That eventually became A.J. Smith, who scored the Wildcats' only run. There's a strike on the inside corner, 2-1.
Formula here is pretty simple. You got your 8-9 up. You got to get at least one of them on base and turn it over to the top.
And that's low and inside. 3 balls and a strike. And if I'm being perfectly honest, maybe that 1 strike should have been a ball as well. It was low and inside. 3-1 from Williams. Upstairs, ball 4, and Fabo walks. And now it's Colton Olison.
Well, and this is the game you play when you're going to try to throw guys in every day. This is college, and you ride a lot of guys pretty hard because that's just the way college ball has always been played. Not, babying guys like you would at the major league level. But there's fatigue involved. They're not always going to be at their top stuff, and he can't find the zone, then, well, here we go.
It's Colton Olison. First pitch, a strike that arcs through the zone, ending up on the inside corner, 0-1. But Isaiah Williams is the top arm on this staff, no doubt about it, and they've turned to him in the biggest spot of the season. 0-1. Swinging a ground ball towards third, and through the hole! Past the reaching glove of the third baseman, who is now Shamar Harris, as Alvarez has been replaced after being pinch hit for. So now 2 on, nobody out. The top of the order coming up.
And nobody's coming out of the bullpen to save you. This is Isaiah Williams' game. And whether Coach Johnson was still in this game or not, it would have to be Williams' game. I mean, this is your guy. You're going to trust your guy. You're not going to yank him.
Daniel Figueroa 0 for 4 on the day. He squares to bunt. He puts it down, pops it up, and Williams makes the catch. A brutal day for the Wildcat leadoff man continues. Because if that one drops, I think Figueroa is safe at first. But a stretching play by Williams off the mound. Got it just before it hit the turf. And now the Wildcats in double play range. Garrett Shun at the plate. A single, a walk, a strikeout, and a sac bunt. As Coach Hernandez is going to use one of his last maneuvers of the game, pinch running for Jorge Gonzalez Fabo at second. Who's running? I couldn't tell who that is.
Well, it's 28. It's Colby Lipovsky. Yeah, I was trying to confirm. Didn't quite look like it running over, but it is definitely Lipovsky. Second pitcher of the day used as a pinch runner. Probably your starter tomorrow if you make it there.
Sean at the plate. He watches ball one up and in. So that's an interesting move. We've never seen Lipovsky run for the Wildcats this year.
Just trying to scratch and claw for any tiny advantage you have at this point. What else can you do?
Upstairs, ball two. One out in the inning on the Figueroa bunt pop-up.
Colton Olson out there talking to Lipovsky on the base pass, giving him sliding tips, everything else. Just between every pitch, he's out there talking to him.
Nobody's holding either of the runners on. It's all about the batter. 2-0 to Chun. In there for a strike on the outside corner with the slider. Now Chun's got to stand in there and take a hack at it. He's been one of the Wildcats' most consistent performers all season long, especially with runners on base. 2-1. Outside 3-1. The Jackson State crowd wanted that to be strike two.
All that outside edge has been there. Not rewarded right there.
The 3-ball, 1-strike delivery is in there right down the middle, and the count is full on the senior Garrett Shun, potentially his last at-bat for the Maroon and Gold. Ball 4. Bases juiced. 1 man out.
Uh-oh.
The batter is Sergio Rivera. Lipovsky on third, pinch running for Fabo. Olison on second after his single.
And now at worst.
Well, you can't get a fly ball because we're down 2-3-1. You got to get a hit here. Rivera 0 for 3 with a walk, and he was thrown out at home on a play that would have tied the game in the 8th. The pitch, right down the middle for strike 1. You can't go down looking here. That's the one thing you can't do.
George Rodriguez is in the pinch hitting circle, going for Jose Gonzalez.
That's an interesting call. Here's the pitch. And it's in there for a strike, low and inside. I didn't think that was the correct call, but the umpire made it. Now 0-2 on Rivera. Williams at the end of his rope trying to get any strength he has left into that arm. The 0-2, low. Good take from Sergio, 1-2.
Trying to set up outside, induce the swing and miss, or at the very least force Sergio to try to put that weak foul ball that he's been able to do a couple of times today.
Bases loaded with 1 out in the 9th. Wildcats down 2, swinging a pop-up. In foul territory, first base side, it will make the seats. And almost crack a fan on the noggin down there.
I tried to make the catch. Almost ate that one.
Count still 1-2. A long, slow walk back to the mound for Isaiah Williams, the junior from Valley Springs, California. One of the taller players in this league at 6'5", could find a home on the basketball court if he probably wanted to. He's going to try and use that long, lanky frame to power one more past Sergio Rivera. 1 ball and 2 strikes the count. Here's the pitch. Outside ball 2. His velocity is noticeably lower than it was yesterday.
And he's laboring out there with every pitch, taking a long time, pitch to pitch. Fortunate the pitch clock there reset a little bit late. He's taking his sweet time.
2-2. Swinging a line drive caught at third base. They go back to second and safe. There is Lipovsky. Man, oh man, we talk all the time, Base, about the game of baseball finding you. Harris in there at third. off the bench, a ball hit so hard right at him, and he's able to come up with it, and the Wildcats are down to their last outs.
You talk about a game of inches to make that stab, the reaction time, and just a brutal break for the Wildcats. Nothing you can do about it.
And it's going to be a pinch hitter for Jose Gonzalez, which is an odd move. He's been your best hitter all day. And you're going to go with the backup catcher, Jorge Rodriguez. Rodriguez has mostly been a pinch hitter in this tournament, had one game at catcher. That was the game against Jackson State yesterday. The first pitch to him is inside. Did it hit him? Yes, it did. So the carousel goes around.
And now all it takes is one more mistake pitch, and we're tied again.
Lepovsky scores from third. Olesen goes to third. Chun to second. And at first with a hit by pitch is Jorge Rodriguez.
Wow.
And the batter will be who else? Ramses Cordova. He's been the best bat the Wildcats have in this tournament. He hasn't been good today. 0 for 4 with a walk. And are we going to get a pinch runner here? No. Colton Olesen, the tying run at third. Garrett Chun on second. Rodriguez on first. Sergio Rivera. And I'll say it again, Bryce. The game of baseball will find you when you least expect it, and we'll have a timeout as Sebastian Cabeza goes out to talk to his pitcher. Remember, Coach Omar was ejected in the top of the ninth for arguing seemingly a meaningless call.
Well, now it's time to make good on all the work he put in throughout this tournament. Cordova, good this morning, not so good this afternoon into this evening. Kind of a whole lot of where was this all season for Cordova? You could put an entire season away.
And
swing.
I talk a lot about regression to the mean. Let's hope he staves that off for one more at bats. Fans on their feet here at Russ Chandler Stadium. The first pitch is strike one. No way. Outside corner, the call is in there from Brandon Folks. And Cordova behind in the count. 0-1. Swing and a miss. Upstairs fastball. And the Wildcats, for the second time in this inning, are down to their final strike with the tying run on third.
Cordova loves the high fastball. Hunting the fences there. Don't have to. Only need one.
The 0-2 from Williams. Runners go. Pitch fouled away. And Cordova will see another one. Cordova, the transfer from Winthrop in the offseason. Trying to play hero one more time. Isaiah Williams, the 0-2, winding the pitch. Upstairs, gets away from the catcher. Here comes Olesen. We are tied. How about it, El Capitan? You've just tied this ball game at 3.
Well, I've said it already. That's the game you play. You are wearing these guys down to the bone. Isaiah Williams is tired. You've given him no chance out there, and he's an outstanding arm. He's the best arm on this team. He's a guy I would one up in a spot like this, but you can't take out the fatigue factor.
Now the winning run, potentially. Garrett Chun on third. It's still a 1-2 count. Here's the pitch. Rivera watches it low and inside for ball 2. Those are always so difficult to take because the corners have been there from this home plate umpire all day. But we are tied at 3 in the bottom of the ninth. The 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Did he foul tip it? Did he foul tip it? Did he foul tip it? Still no call. Foul ball. And he'll see another pitch. Holy cannoli.
Somebody's got to make that call.
The second base umpire, Patrick Graham, who we've seen in Daytona Beach a ton, he lives down there and umpires a lot of games in Florida, made that call. And now it's the assistant coach for Jackson State, Chandler Dillard, out arguing. But I don't think that's something you can review.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. It's fortunate for this officiating crew that Omar Johnson isn't here anymore. Otherwise, we'd be here in minutes.
But once again, it's a 2-2. Williams comes set from the stretch. Here's the pitch, swinging a foul away off the end of the bat. Cordova stays alive. The Wildcats now a base hit away from sending us to tomorrow. It's always Jackson State, Bryce. It's always Jackson State.
It's always this ballpark. It's always this tournament.
Once again, the 2-2 for the third straight time. Cordova puts it in the air. Shallow center. Actually fading back a bit. McClatty, he will make the catch. But the Wildcats get up off the mat and take us to extra innings. 2 runs, 1 hit. They strand 2, but it doesn't matter. We've got more baseball here at Russ Chandler Stadium. We'll go to the 10th when we come back. Well, for the first time in, well, as long as I can remember, we are going to extra innings after the Wildcats get 2 runs. They scratch and claw and fight in the battle of the big cats, and the Wildcats and Tigers are going 10 here in Atlanta. Elimination game for the Wildcats. If Jackson State wins, they're into the finals. If the Wildcats come out on top, we're back again tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Oh boy, the batter is Jordan McClatty. The pitcher is Dale Michaud. Let's reset, Bryce. It's not over yet. We've still got more baseball. Hold on, we've got some contention going on here. Oh no, we're just changing the pitch com system.
The break?
No, I think they have a different set of slides for Michaud that maybe they didn't put in last inning. I'm not sure. Anyway, we're gonna get a little bit of a break as the chicken dance is being played over the PA system here. It's been an interesting week of music. We had like Pinky and the Brain this morning.
Yeah, we heard the King of the Hill song earlier today. They've been
I'm just trying to stay
interesting out
loose.
there.
I'm just trying to stay loose.
It is funny with the loose environment in the ballpark when we're as tense as can be, and the game's been as tense as it gets.
First pitch from Michaud is a strike, low and outside corner. On Jordan McClatty, who's been the best guy for Jackson State today. Walked and scored in the first, walked in the third, reached on an error in the 6th, doubled in the 8th, and scored. There's another strike on a slider outside corner. McClatty, the junior from a nearby Augusta, Georgia, watches one by his ankles, and it's 1-2.
Well, if you just believe in momentum, you would think momentum favors the Wildcats here.
I really don't believe in anything much anymore in this ball game. There's oh, what a beauty! A twister of a slider that cut in on the hands for strike 3. And McClatty's down for the first time of the ball game. And here's Lenny Montesano.
I think when you do talk about momentum, I think that's one benefit. You know, I talked really early on in this game that I would have rather had the Wildcats bat first to start to get the bats going. Well, now I think if you get through, you have the opportunity to work that clean inning first, and then you can hit with a little bit of momentum behind your back.
Montesano watches fastball right down the middle, strike one. In the game, he reached on an error in the first that allowed McClatty to score, then grounded out to short, struck out, and singled in McClatty on a base hit to right field in the seventh. And another fastball down the middle for strike two that Montesano does not offer at. That gave the Tigers at the time a 2-1 lead right after the Wildcats had tied it at 1. Pitch, breaking ball. Did he go? Yes, he did! 2 outs on 2 Ks for Dale Machad, and there's 2 away.
Seniors stepping up. It's been that kind of week. Because now for Dale Machad, this becomes a lot more than, oh, we're just going to get you a last outing on the mound to send you off on your way. Now it's your chance to pick your team up and to be part of the winning equation.
Here's Miles White now with 2 outs. He's reached on fielder's choices twice, was caught stealing once, and grounded out twice. And he watches a strike in on the knees.
That first pitch strike has been massive. Jackson State's never been ready for it.
Machad quickly comes set and deals. Inside and low. Missed that one. And I think there's such a thing as potentially pitching too fast for Dale Machad. Even if you are in that rhythm, you still got to hit your spots, work through your mechanics. 1 ball, 1 strike. Got another one at the knees. Fastball, 1-2 the count. And White steps out of the box and adjusts his batting helmet. Now walks back in, takes his disengagement. Machad set from the stretch. Threw a waist pitch up and away to try and get a swing. And it's 2-2.
Just such a different look from what the Tigers have seen all day. Corey throws hard. Torres throws hard. Neither have as much movement on their off speed as Dale Machad.
The 2-2. Swinging a foul away into the lounge area down the third base side. Miles White staying alive in this at-bat.
And Machad can do well to keep that fastball in on the hands when he does decide to throw it. Because that's about all you can do with that ball.
New baseball requested from the umpire. Machad has it in his hands. Florida A&M and Grambling waiting in the wings after the conclusion of this one. We've been on the air for almost 4 hours here in game number 2. The 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Dale Machad K's the side. And the Wildcats will have a chance to win it in the bottom of the 10th here on the CatEye Network. We go to the bottom of the 10th, tied at 3. Irvin Escobar, the catcher, is going to hit a single and 2 fielders' choices on the day for Irvin, as well as a ground out to short. The first pitch from Isaiah Williams, who is still in there on the mound. Nobody in the bullpen for Jackson State. Low ball, 1-1. And you got to be patient here for the Wildcats. You know Williams is feeling it. Let him throw pitches. Uh-oh, there it goes, left field and deep, back towards the wall. It's 1 hop over the wall for a ground rule double. Oh, I thought he'd ended it right there.
Oh, and I wanted it so bad. I know me and you are both feeling it up in the booth here. These Wildcats want it so bad. You don't know if it's the lack of direction from Omar Johnson or Or maybe this is the plan all along for Jackson State, but leaving Isaiah Williams on the mound. I get it. I get it. That's your guy. That's your closer. That's one of those baseball things is when you put the closer in, we're telling you it's your game. It's not that game anymore. This is a new game. You can't leave him out there to struggle. He can't find the zone. He can't pick his spots. Left that one right over the heart of the plate, and he's lucky it didn't hit off the scoreboard.
And talk about another big spot. Here's Frankie Feblis again. He struck out to end the 8th with 2 runners on. He gets another chance to potentially give the Wildcats a win with the winning run on second, although I think he might try and bunt here.
Oh, absolutely. I would probably do the same.
They're going to the pen. I think they have to go. But nobody's out there. Nobody's warmed up. Unless they're going to put a position player in. They're definitely making some changes defensively. Number 9, Hassan Standifer is going to go to first base. Montesano's going to be out.
Oh, it will be Shamar Harris. Feel like he started warming up back in the 3rd inning.
So Shamar Harris is going to come on to pitch with a game on the line in the 10th. The Wildcats have no outs and the winning run potentially at second. So Standifer's at 3rd. Harris goes from 3rd to pitching. Who's at 3rd? It is. I see 21. They don't have a 21 on their roster.
Or is it
Yeah, it's 21.
Right-hander number 16, Shamar Harris.
So
that's interesting.
We looked at Shamar Harris's numbers like back in the 5th inning when we saw him warm up, and now it's the 10th, and he's in the game after, playing at 3rd.
Montesano is 21.
So Montesano goes from 1st to 3rd. I wish you could see. I mean, maybe I'll show the camera my scorecard. It's just got crosses out and names written everywhere and notes on everything.
Listen, if we win the game and I got to go run down and get Johnny, you can show him all that. You can teach him how to manual score for all I care. Let's get through this first. Let's get there.
So Escobar led off the inning with maybe his hardest hit ball of the season that barely missed being a walk-off homer, skipped under the scoreboard over the wall out in left center field. So let's run you through now the freshman infielder / right-handed pitcher, Shamar Harris. He is a freshman from Chicago, Illinois. His pitching stats on the season are as follows. It is his 13th appearance. He's thrown 13 innings, averaging 1 inning per appearance. He's got a .969 ERA. In 13 innings pitched, he's given up 14 runs on 16 hits, all earned, striking out 10 and walking 14. He's given up no doubles, 2 triples, 1 homer, and 2 wild pitches and 5 hit by pitches. He's got 1 save on the year in the win at Memphis, which is maybe Jackson State's biggest scalp of the season. And I'm kind of shocked that they didn't really mention it in games that the SWAC has taken off of big teams this year in the big introduction at the beginning of the tournament.
Right. They've been big on harping on that. A lot of teams took a lot of great games. Southern over LSU. Obviously, you talk about Jackson State over Memphis. The Wildcats took down Miami. Alabama State took down Auburn. The SWAC has made a big emphasis this year on really promoting that just about every opportunity they can. And you're right, that's not one that was mentioned. And this is a guy that's seen opportunities at the highest level. And he's going to get a big, big chance right here. If you're the Wildcats, you can't afford to squander this. If you've got a bunt him over. I wouldn't hate the decision in here right now. Small ball has led you to a lot of wins. There's no reason not to ride it here.
Second AB for Frankie Feblis. Escobar on second after a ground rule double. He squares to bunt. He puts it down.
Nice
right
one.
Back to the pitcher. Fielding is Harris. Throwing over to first. It's close. But Feblis is out, but the runner moves to third. Escobar 90 feet away. He can come home on a fly ball. He can come home on a base hit. We're going to have another pinch hitter here.
Jamie Villafane is going to come to the plate. We saw him with some high fly balls in this tournament. One in game 1 was about a step from the track. You could take one shorter than that and go on home.
First pitch to Villafane is low. This is the first time we've seen real Harris work. He just kind of threw it at the bat for that bunt. It was a really good bunt by Feblis, by the way. if Harris is not down off the mound like that, oh, that one almost got by the catcher. But you got to be careful on balls to the backstop in this building. It's very short distance to the backstop. Unless it kicks away to the corner, you do not want to come home from third. The Wildcats have already been thrown out twice at home. The 2-0 pitch. Harris way outside again. 3 balls, no strikes to Jamie Villafane. The next batter is Fabo, who's on deck.
And it's worth noting that
And looks like he's going to be pitch hit for too.
Harris has not pitched in almost a month.
And he walks Villafane on 4 pitches.
I knew Colton Olson would weasel his way to the plate in the big spot in this game again. I knew he would do it.
Oh, sorry, that was pitch hitting for Gonzalez Fabo. Now it's Olson again. He scored the tying run. Now he's got a chance to drive home the winning run with Escobar on third. 1 down in the inning in the 10th. A game the Wildcats were behind from the word go. They fought back in the 9th to tie the game and looking to force a bracket reset tomorrow afternoon. The corners are in. The infield is in. The first pitch from Harris is a strike. Runner goes to second. They try the double steal, and a great job by Jackson State scouting department to know that. They don't throw to second, just a lazy throw back to the pitcher to keep Escobar at third. Although it kind of would have been fitting if the
Are they putting
game
him
had,
on? Yep.
If the game had ended on a double steal.
Well, this is an interesting decision to put Olson on because I don't necessarily love what I've seen from Harris.
Well,
I'm not
Daniel-
sure he can find the zone.
Well, Daniel Figueroa now, he is 0 for 5. So I think Daniel Figueroa has to keep the bat on his shoulder. You
Absolutely.
cannot ground into a double play here. Make him walk you.
Absolutely.
Bases loaded, 1 out. Winning run is Escobar, 90 feet away. First pitch from Harris is upstairs, ball 1. Come on, Fig, keep the bat on the shoulder.
Again, he has not pitched since the 26th of April. It's been almost a month. He's not ready for this moment.
And that one not called. Slider outside. The Jackson State fans wanted it to be called a strike. The home plate umpire, Brandon Folks, says low and away, 2-0. And he didn't get to warm up really either because he was in the pen for a long time. Then he came into bat, throws one right down the middle, strike 1. Then he played third for 2 innings. Now he's on the mound. Talk about a do-it-all kind of guy. 2 balls, 1 strike. Corners in. The pitch. Figueroa watches up and in, ball 3. 1 more ball, and this game is over. The Wildcats making a ton of noise in the third base dugout. Harris stares in at his catcher, Sebastian Cabeza, gets the sign from the stretch. Here's the pitch. It's a strike, and the count is 3-2. Now what do you do if you're Figueroa? I think you got to swing if it's close.
You got to swing if it's close. Everybody breathe.
3 balls, 2 strikes, bases loaded. Ball 4! It's spiked to the plate! Walking in is Escobar! And say it with me, Bryce! This one belongs to the maroon and gold! Wow!
And Mike, I got a question for you.
Bob Daniel Figueroa at first base. And visibly upset is Harris. He's being consoled by one of his teammates. The Wildcats force a bracket reset and will be back in this building tomorrow.
I got a question for you, Mike.
Yep.
How's that voice feeling?
It feels like it wants to go one more time.
Let's do it again. It's really unbelievable what this team has been able to do. And now I told Coach Hernandez this last night. I said, Johnny, if you win 2 games tomorrow, I'm officially in. If you guys don't do the thing, I'm gonna be upset. And this is what you talk about when you throw the challenge out there. Hernandez went as far as to say he was going to put the Kevin Millar tape up for the Wildcats after losing to Jackson State. Don't let us win 1. This team has shown, maybe more so even than last year with this win tonight, the grit that this team has, the stones that you thought maybe weren't there after you go down to Jackson State. You go down limply to Jackson State. And instead, they turn the thing around. They come on late, and they're able to do what neither of us thought they were capable of late in this game. I mean, I think we can be pretty frank in saying that this team too many times on this year has fallen into these slumps, has not been able to kind of continue on stay the course, and do their job, flipped the script entirely, and now Jackson State, your coach got canned, you're working the walks, you're struggling to get to that finish line, and now you face a massive hole heading into tomorrow. All the momentum is for the maroon and gold.
Wow. The Wildcats win a wild one. They get this one done somehow in 10 innings, 4 runs, 9 hits, 2 errors. The Wildcats left a ton on base. 10 on base. For Jackson State, they scored 3 runs on 7 hits, no errors, and left 6 on base. The winning pitcher is Dale Machad. And Isaiah Williams is actually credited with the loss because he put Irvin Escobar on base with that ground rule double to left field to begin the 10th inning. And then they had no confidence in Williams. They took Williams out. They went to Shamar Harris. Harris couldn't find the zone. He walked Jorge or Jamie Villafane. They intentionally walked Colton Olison to load the bases, and then they walked Figueroa, as the Wildcats and the Tigers will run it back tomorrow at noon for a spot in the championship game. And then coming up next on this very field, it's Grambling State and Florida A&M. Grambling State trying to do exactly what the Wildcats just did, stay alive and force a bracket reset, because if not, it's a very stacked and hungry Florida A&M team who look to go back-to-back on Sunday. I'm going to have to stall a lot. We're trying to get Coach Hernandez up here to the booth for a post-game interview, but he is down there with basically every piece of media that's here this week. The official SWAC broadcast wants to talk to him. I believe there's a scouting bureau, a sports scouting bureau that is here that wants to talk to him. He is in a gaggle of reporters down by the Wildcat dugout, but let's just go back and walk through what's happened here. The Wildcats tied the game at 1 in the 7th. A.J. Smith pinch ran for Manny Sufrain. They got him in with a Colton Olison single. There was 1-1. We got game on. But then Jackson State took the lead back the very next inning with a double by McClatty and a single by Montesano, and then extended in the top of the 9th with a walk to Huerta, a walk to Cabeza, and a single by Shamar Harris, who actually ended up on the mound at the end of the game. Then the Wildcats in the 9th, down 3-1. Jorge Rodriguez led off with a walk. No, correction. Jorge Gonzalez-Fable led off with a walk. So many lineup changes came in. I'm trying not to remember what happened. So Fable led off with a walk. Then Olison singled to the first base side. Then Figueroa tried to bunt them over, but popped it up in fair territory. Was caught, so nobody advanced. Then Chun walked to load the bases. Then Rivera lined out to third. Jorge Rodriguez came in to pinch hit, was hit by a pitch. That brought in Fabo from third. Then a wild pitch scored Colton Olison to tie the game from Isaiah Williams, and Ramses Cordova flied out to right field, hunting that right field fence to tie the game. Then in the 10th, the Wildcats turned to their senior, who's been hurt all season, Dale Machad, only 5 appearances on the year, just coming back from injury this month. He stood tall. 3 straight strikeouts of McClatty, Montesano, and White, the heart of the Jackson State order, to set us up for the 10th. And then in that 10th inning, Williams still on the mound for Jackson State at the end of his rope. Irvin Escobar, a ground rule double that missed being a home run by inches. Then a bunt by Frankie Feblis moved him over to third. Then a walk to Jamie Villafane, a walk to Colton Olison, and a walk to Daniel Figueroa scored him from third. Irvin Escobar, who was the hero of last year's SWAC tournament for the Wildcats, came in to score, and Bethune-Cookman, with the 9 count from the referee, get up off the mat and somehow stay alive into the next round tomorrow. as we're still waiting on Coach Hernandez to get up here to the booth. Let's run you through a couple of statistics. 9 hits to 7 in favor of BCU. They committed 2 errors, including the one which allowed Jackson State to score in the first to get on the board. The Wildcats left 11 runners on base. Not a lot of high-powered offense in this game. Just one double each side. The ground rule double for Escobar in the 10th for the Wildcats, and the double for Jordan McClatty, who eventually came around to score on the Montesano single in the 8th. Wildcats worked 8 walks in the game, including 4 in the 10th inning to walk in the winning run. The Wildcats struck out 14 times and then set 7 Tigers down swinging, including 3 from Dale Machad in the 10th inning. I'm sure Coach Hernandez is going to have a lot to say about that. Jackson State stole 3 bases. Wildcats just 1. Not really on their usual get on, get over, get in strategy until the late innings in this one, BCU, but it ended up working out for them. On innings pitched, doesn't matter, earned runs, putouts, assists. So once again, if you're just joining us, where have you been? The Wildcats win 4-3 in 10 innings, and we'll be back tomorrow to do it all again for a spot in the finals on the line. We finally found him. His media obligations done. Coach Hernandez, we talked last year during the run the Wildcats had to the finals after dropping the first game about where's that horseshoe? Who's going to be the guy to step up and get you through? And it kind of came from unlikely places today.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, man. With a tournament like this, that's why it's a team-oriented sport, right? Like we told the guys leading up to this week, it's going to take everybody. It's not going to be one guy. And performances by, Ramses Cordova, right, who's had a really good offensive showing. Other guys, I mean, Dale, did what he needed to do today. Pablo was consistent. It's total team effort, and just proud of the grit, the resiliency, and just the mental toughness to put us in a situation to come back and play on Saturday for an opportunity to get back into the title game.
When we talked pre-tournament after the last series against Alabama A&M, you said to me, I don't think this team has it in them. Has your opinion changed after today?
I'm enjoying the fact that they're definitely proving me wrong. I know that they're tough individuals, but just throughout the course of the year, you've already put yourself in a situation, right, to come up big, and then I just didn't know how, we were going to respond. But one thing I will tell you, that every challenge that the coaching staff has given to the players, our players have responded, and that was the challenge after the tough loss on Thursday against Jackson State. It's, hey, what are we going to do from here on out? We just got to go. If you want to continue to play, well, then your season's on the line. You got to take care of business.
I want to talk in hindsight about the decision to try a suicide squeeze back in the 4th inning with Manny Sufrain on third, and he was eventually thrown out at home after a replay, eventually called in safe. What was the decision making? At that point, you were down 1-0.
I think right there, Manny's a really good bunter, and we weren't getting our offense going. It was very sporadic throughout the course of the game. I mean, their lefty did another, really good job of keeping us off balance. But we just took that, hey, it's going to be an opportunity here. Let's just get a bunt down. And, it didn't work out in our favor. But at the end of the day, that's part of our offense identity. We'll steal bases. We'll put pressure on the defense. We'll do what we need to do to capitalize to score runs. And we weren't in a slugfest today, but we did what we had to do to come out successful.
Yeah, talk about Joel Corey, a freshman in a big spot today. He stepped up. He kept you in the game for 7 innings of 1-run ball before he finally kind of reached the end of his rope. He's got a bright future ahead of him.
Absolutely. We're looking for him, having a bright future here in the maroon and gold. But the thing, too, is you revert back to the midweeks. How many times have we put him as a freshman throw against the big schools and our in-state rivals? That experience alone is going to help him, and he's grown and he's developed into being the guy that he's been, and he showed today. So, just very proud of his work and his development. But the only way you're going to get better is getting out there and throwing, and all the experience definitely gave us an opportunity to win this game.
I want to know what kind of went down on the field. Coach Omar got tossed late in that game for seemingly no reason up here. What did you see from your perspective in the dugout?
I think there was a situation when one of their players got warned, and then I guess after that walk or when he scored, I guess he said something to our dugout. I really don't know. And then I guess Coach Johnson just was protecting his guy, and then he got tossed. But, nevertheless, we got a game tomorrow. I know that happened during the course of the game, but that doesn't take away anything from what our guys did today.
You took advantage of some tired arms for Jackson State today. Womble, Williams, all through back-to-back days. Van Deventer, 2 out of 3 days, long appearances for him. It appears like Jackson State is kind of towards the end of their rotation. What do you expect they'll see tomorrow on the mound?
Knowing Coach Johnson is just somebody that's going to compete for them. But at the end of the day, we're not really too worried about that right now. We got to get back to the hotel and figure out who's going to give us an opportunity to start tomorrow.
Well, you've earned that opportunity to play one more day. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon, Coach.
Absolutely. Hail Wildcats.
Once again, your final score in this second game of our doubleheader. The Wildcats do exactly what they did last year. They stay alive through the lower bracket doubleheader day. They come back off the mat. They win it in 10. 4-3 over Jackson State, and we'll have one more game to play. Bryce, we've been on the air today for probably 7 hours. It's been a long one. Thoughts overall on the day after an easy breezy game one and then a marathon of a game two?
Well, I think, first of all, I think I speak for both of us and then extend that into further, of course, the team aside, Brian Harvey helping us out there over with stats, helping on social media, Eugene Robinson down there doing photography, doing videography. There'll be plenty of that to come on social tonight, but I speak for all of us when I say we wouldn't have it any other way. I would rather spend a day at the ballpark. In one of the most memorable days I can think of working here at Bethune-Cookman. I mean, we did this last year, but something about this one, it could be recency bias, but it's only as good as the next one, and today has been fantastic. It's been a long day for these guys, mentally, physically exhausting, but there's just something inside. I think everybody in this ballpark who watched this game, who witnessed this game, you feel it. Exactly what we talked about later and later into that broadcast. The Wildcats head into that game tomorrow with every bit of momentum, and I don't have any plans of heading on home back tomorrow night. I don't think the Wildcats have any plans to get home tomorrow night. It'll be interesting for us to catch Jonathan Hernandez again in a couple of hours after he's debriefed, after he's talked it over with his team, with his family, with the mountain of texts that are going to come his way from friends near and far, and just kind of get his thoughts heading into tomorrow. It's going to be a really exciting broadcast, and I just want to go back, man, and I know they do, and it's going to be a fun day tomorrow.
There are so many things I want to say, but I think we need to save our voices for tomorrow and get off and go relax ourselves. So thank you so much for watching. Anybody who's stuck with us through both games today, through the long games today. I know we've got friends and family of the players watching from home, alumni of Bethune-Cookman wanting to follow this team all throughout the run. Thank you so much. My name is Michael Cirillo. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We'll be back tomorrow, noon Eastern time, for the bracket reset match in the upper bracket against Jackson State. We'll see you then.